I'm gonna assume I'm working. Yeah, we're good. Perfect, perfect. Welcome everybody. So, yeah, so we've been basically playing the uh pre Alpha 2 for quite some time now. I think there's been a lot of people in. Actually, if you are in the chat and you have signed up for A2, go ahead and check your emails, guys, because they just added another 1,000 players to the testing environment. So obviously, there's some people that are probably taking a bit of a respite before this weekend, and so they're probably chilling out and doing their own thing. So looks like they need some more testers, and they're gonna add 1,000 more. So make sure to check your emails. What's up, Mariah? What's up, everybody? What's up, Big Haas? Alex? Annie said hello in the chat. How's it going? I hope everyone's doing good. Also, because of Jamie's streams, speaking of Annie Lace, because of Jamie's streams, I got a shit ton of followers just from hanging out with them. So, big shout out to Jamie for letting me come on and talk about my experience there. It was a lot of fun. So I guess I can we got like 14 or 17 followers while I was offline just doing that. So that was really cool. If you guys have any real questions that you want to ask, go ahead. I can answer them. I do already have kind of like a list going here. So the list is going to be relatively extensive on like what to expect, some common questions I've been receiving in the community that probably need to be addressed, and at the very end, I have some funny or fun stories that you may or may not have heard, and so like I have quite a bit to talk about. So might be a long one, might be a short one. We'll see how it goes. But I guess first things first. What should we expect in Alpha 2? There's going to be a lot of things to expect. Most of this stuff is going to be negative, but these are just to forewarn everybody, like the actual negative portion of all of this can all eventually be fixed. So like, thanks for the follow, Daniel. I appreciate it. Oh, my alerts are turned off. I should probably turn that on. I think we're good. Yeah. Can just go ahead and replay that. There you go. Also, why is my webcam there? We're gonna move this stuff real quick. One sec. Gotta make sure that the alerts work properly, right? Just gonna transition. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So where am I starting again? Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot to expect. A lot of the stuff is going to be negative, but the negative can be fixed. Not a big deal. So even though you are going to see or hear, I should say, no visual NDA is broken, only the verbal. Although you're going to hear a lot of negative stuff, all this stuff can be fixed. These are just annoying things that happened while we were in testing, and this is the stuff that you're going to want to expect while you're playing Alpha 2 or watching Alpha 2 on stream. So there's going to be a lot of bugs. There's no shortcutting that. There's going to be a shit ton of bugs. There's going to be probably some exploits that go around. And like most people will report them and move on. Some people will keep on exploiting them because it'll give them a competitive edge for an alpha, which doesn't really make that much sense to me, but you know, it is what it is. But just know that like the team is really fast at responding to these things, especially the exploits. Like we had like a gold exploit that was found out and reported, and we basically reported it, and they were able to fix it like less than 24 hours, if not less than 6 to 8 hours. There were people finding ways around after the fix, which they fixed again. So like there's a lot of there's a lot of things that happen, and this is honestly good for the game, to be completely honest. You want to break it, you want to find these exploits, you want to keep going on, because if you don't find them, then they'll exist in the game. So And that's kind of like the cycle that happens when you're doing any sort of like security testing type of thing. Like if you're doing like cybersecurity, for example, and you're on blue team, you're going to defend against something. You're like, oh, I'm pretty safe from any vulnerabilities, right? And then yeah, of course, Daniel. You're gonna find some like vulnerabilities, and you're going to, be like, I think we're good, and then a penetration tester is gonna come in on the red team, and they're just gonna be like, yeah, it's not. I found these 7 different vulnerabilities, and then you're like, well, shit, and then the cycle keeps happening and happening until the vulnerability becomes so difficult to reproduce that, or just completely non-reproducible uh, via this cycle. So these things will happen. These things are good for the game. Yeah, we want to break the hell out of it. So please report them. Please don't abuse them if you can. I'm sure you'll see other people abusing some exploits, but it's an alpha. These things will get wiped. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to cause too much drama over it. There were some instances of drama because of exploiting, particularly around like I think it was the 3 or the 5 day test, when people were exploiting guild wars to the point where like you could start a guild war, and then you would just make a bunch of like level 1 alts, and then you'd have like one of your little sub guilds kill all the level 1 alts until the guild war is over, and then they would get like massive amounts of XP, like massive amounts, where I think it took us like 40 hours to get to like level 10, and there was like people like level 27, level 25 and stuff like that, just because they were abusing this bug. And they could do this on multiple different on like multiple guilds. They would just like create a sub guild, and then they would start a guild war, and then you didn't have to have like one of the guilds didn't have to have like a scroll or anything, just the one that was doing the guild war. So you could just pick any guild, and you're like, I want to fight that one, and you would just be able to break the shit. Same thing was happening with like mayoral voting and stuff like that, where people would just get on their alts and just run straight to the node and vote for the person that they wanted to vote for. Since then, it's been changed to being level 10. You have to be level 10 in order to vote. You have to be level 10 in order to become a citizen. So, yeah, becoming a citizen is no longer trivial. It will take some time if you are going to do that to vote in a mayor. I even randomly got voted in as mayor. So I have a mayor video that's going to come out probably before Friday on like what to expect as a mayor, like how to prepare yourself for a mayor, and what's good and what's bad about the system type of thing. So I'm going to be pretty excited about that one coming out. By the way, my video I released today, it is popping the fuck off. The Ashes of Creation may not be for everyone. That one is popping off. I believe on Friday the visual NDA will be released. So I haven't heard anything saying not to, but I will be streaming it. Yeah, I don't think they've said anything about like the visual NDA continuing past Friday. I still won't be able to show you any of the footage that I may have recorded during the NDA testing. All of that is still locked under NDA. No screenshots or anything can go out. So a lot of people are playing it safe. We're only talking about our experiences. And Lex can write about it. So the written NDA is also absolved. So I'm sure you'll be like reading like the wiki, the Ashes of Creation wiki, and that has been absolved of written NDA. So although the visual representation may not be accurate, but most of like the wording, if Lex, I'm sure Lex is just super busy right now working on the wiki and translating all that information over. So that's really cool. So yeah. My video has been popping off. I think the Ashes category is popping off right now. So it's crazy. I want to get as much content out as possible. Just kind of jumping on the opportunity here. But yeah, I've had a blast playing Alpha 2. And yeah, some more things that we need to expect when we enter A2 is going to be dropping the party a lot. There are a lot of bugs that can be resolved by leaving the party or your raid and then remaking it. Dodge rolling helps a lot. Dodge rolling is your best friend. If you're stuck, if something is happening with your character that you can't do, try dodge rolling. It fixes a lot of things for whatever reason. I'm not sure. Mobs will get stuck on server, or well, they did get stuck on server borders. I don't know if they can. I think most of that has been fixed. There is a bit of an issue with like the communication from like the server to the client, or to the NPC, where the mob's initial spawn point is on one server border, and if you pull them across the server border, I don't think they can deleash anymore. So you may find mobs that just kind of deleash, or they won't deleash, and they'll just chase you to the end of the time because you walked across the server border. And that could be a bit of a problem. Yeah, so yeah, we got 1,000 new testers coming in to the pre-NDA, as Daniel's saying. So check your emails if you haven't already. If you have Alpha 2 access, that is. Mobs might get stuck on the spawn. So I'm saying a lot. I really need to stop that. That's a really bad habit of mine. Hey, what's up, Dresh? How's it going? Oh, Avi, you're in the game? I had no idea that you were playing. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Mobs do get stuck quite frequently. We have, again with the I need to have like an counter to get rid of my habit. That I hate it. We need to burn this out of me, by the way. I hate listening to myself when I keep saying so I just need to be consciously aware of it and stop it. There's a lot of mob issues right now. They were fixing a lot of the mobs and how they interact with the players spawning in, with attacking or not attacking or getting stuck. I think a lot of that has been fixed. Exactly. Please. I should have like a punishment for every time I say and then I would cry. As I say God damn it. I'm gonna mental reset here so that I can. We're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. Mental reset. Oh my god, I would cry. Push-ups. My upper body is so weak. I'd rather do sit-ups. I have a core. I just don't have upper body. Maybe that's a reason to do push-ups, right? Maybe I'll implement something like that for when I'm playing the game, and then we can have like an counter. Okay, groups are going to be better than solo play. You can solo play. I have done it. I have basically leveled most of the archetypes. I'll get to the archetypes here shortly. So we're gonna continue on with the problems. XP rates will change based on how you group up versus rating versus soloing content. So basically, like the group content, you are going to have a little bit more XP than rating, but less than solo. However, the amount of time it takes you to kill mobs is greatly increased. So I think there isn't really a quote-unquote meta for grouping experience and stuff like that. I know people were testing it out, like, oh, if I'm with 6 people versus 8 people versus 12 people, they were testing different things out with how experience is gained. That's been a lot of fun to figure out. I've actually had more fun in smaller groups. As long as there's a bard, cleric, and tank, and like 1 to 2 DPS, maybe 3 DPS on like harder content, it's very, very fun. I don't think the 8 group is very good for XP rates. I think the lower the amount of party is good. And honestly, you're pretty strong within your group, like your small group with cleric and bard and tank, to constantly keep up health for the tank, constantly keep up aggro on the mobs, and to um like keep refreshing your mana with the bard. DPS is there simply to make the grind go by faster, and I've noticed as a DPS that I'm doing a lot of standing and hitting. So standing and doing basically nothing, just letting my auto attacks go off and then using my rotation when my rotation is up. I think that has been one of my biggest problems with the combat system that I've gave feedback on, is like a lot of ranged just feels like standing and hitting while you're doing combat, and it doesn't really feel interactive. The mob mechanics are more geared towards fighting melee uh archetypes. So I hope, I don't think this is a quick fix. I don't think that is a very what how do I say this? It's not going to be fixed very fast with how mobs are going to interact with us. So I think ranged is going to be primarily OP. You're going to see a lot of bows, you're going to see a lot of wands, maybe some spell books and stuff. As gear level progressed, 10 to 15, etc., did the stats seem consistent with the armor type? I guess it depends on what you mean by consistent with that, because gearing definitely has way too much of a gap right now, where if you have like starting gear or vendor gear, they tend to be really low. But that's like where the crafting system comes in, and you want to have like those like legendary, epic, or whatever materials that you craft into the same vendor gear. So basically, there's vendor gear that you'll get, like they're like Sanctus sword, Sanctus shield, and all that stuff of pretty much everything, and then that will be a huge gap. So anything that's like your starting gear to like Sanctus gear is going to be a huge jump increase for your power scaling. I'd say gearing is probably way too loose in terms of power scaling at the moment, where it feels like the smallest upgrade is actually just the biggest thing to your character. So that's kind of how that goes. The ability to craft like the Sanctus gear as like epic or uncommon or rare or whatever, those will be massive increases, and they will help you progress content, but it's also not necessary. Like, you'll notice your clearing, your damage, your mitigation will go up, but I've geared up with only a Sanctus bow and no armor all the way up to level 9 before I actually got my armor up as a ranger. So it's not necessary, but it is extremely massive, especially when it comes to like PvP. Like PvP, if you're not geared, you're kind of screwed. That's just how it is. We'll see. Let me see here. You will experience falling through the world a lot, like a lot. There seems to be like some sort of bug whenever you enter like a server worker where if you're on a horse or you're just running through the world and you're not on a road, sometimes the terrain doesn't stay solid. And I think it has something to do with elevation when getting on and off the road. I have no idea. But you're going to basically either stay on a road until you get off that server worker to fix that, or you're going to just log off and log back in. I tend to, if I'm in a party, I tend to just keep running on the road until I hit another server worker. If I'm not in a party, I'll just relog because it's faster. It's kind of a pain in the ass to keep on exiting and entering your party and having the party leader just keep on inviting people every time they have like a bug. But things happen. It's an alpha. That's just kind of how things are at the moment. Got stuck in boulders, collision issues. I was able to get out. Nice. I mean, like, I've fallen through boulders, but that's because I would just clip through it. Like, they just weren't fully solid. So I would just like walk through boulders and whatnot. Sometimes through the world, you'll see a bunch of like terrain issues. You'll see like overflowing water. You'll see waterfalls where there aren't like there isn't land, so it's just a stream of water. You'll swim through the air because there will appear like there's water where there's not. There's going to be a lot of fun things that happen with that. You'll see a lot of funny things. There is an issue currently. I think they're trying to fix this before the 25th. But GPUs seem to be running out of VRAM, especially if you have like 8 gigabytes or less. Well, I assume you only have 8 gigabytes in your GPU, but you will start crashing after an extended period of time. I believe that's going to be like some sort of memory leak issue, if I'm not mistaken. So the memory leaks are trying to be fixed prior to Friday. I know the team is working really, really hard on that, so we're just going to let them cook on that. But just expect if you have lower VRAM that you may experience some issues. I have a 3060 Ti. I've been playing for hours on end and experienced minimal crashes on high and ultra settings. So, like, it's not all GPUs, it's not all VRAM. It may be the area that I'm playing in. It may be certain things that I'm doing that isn't spiking the VRAM, but it seems overall pretty decent if you have a decent enough graphics card. I'm sure like the 1080 Ti's and stuff like that with 8 gigabytes of RAM in it are probably struggling a little bit more. So they are getting a lot of logs on that stuff. There used to be a replication graph issue with like resource nodes. So if you're not aware of like the server tech or whatever, so the replication graph is basically like a microservice that tells the overall realm, the overall server that's having all these like little server workers work inside of it. It's telling, hey, realm Norlin on server worker 7, this person has mined this granite node. And then it goes into the microservice, and the microservice tells the overall realm that that player mined it, so that node is gone. And so when you walk onto that server and there wasn't any communication from the microservice, so that was on server worker 7 and you were on server worker 8, if you went from server worker 8 into server worker 7 and you went to go mine that exact node, it would still show as there and you would try to mine it, but it would be gone. And you wouldn't get any resources, and it would just stay there, and you'd be like, what the hell? Why can't I mine this thing? They've fixed a lot of those issues. I'm not going to lie. I think they've almost permanently fixed that one. I think that was probably one of the most massive things for crafting. They've also been spawning a lot more resource nodes to kind of do like server testing and stress testing as well. We noticed that a few tests. It's gotten much better since the beginning, like insanely better. It's been quite it's quite interesting to see. Like, I know how these things are interacting and I know why they're breaking, but man, it's so annoying. So I'm gonna snooze this ad real quick because we're almost done with this, and then we'll go on to the next one. There's been some concerns about character slots. I think there's only like 5 character slots, but there's 6 archetypes, so people would like to be on one realm with like an archetype of each character slot. I don't know if that will be fixed yet. I don't think that's really high priority. Last week's build and this week's build was like night and day. Honestly, I haven't logged on yet. I've been making videos, I've been editing and stuff like that. I'm pretty excited to hop on. So yeah, I heard Resna is really good right now. There's a couple other servers that came up that we didn't have access to, like Norlin is something that we had access to that we no longer do. I think they are Lineth and Vira, which If you aren't aware of like the server naming system, it's the gods, and I don't know who Lyneth or who Vyra is, but I'm now interested. There was Eridil at one point, which no longer exists, so I'm not sure why the renaming of these realms are happening, but maybe they're testing like EU realms or something like that. We don't know. That's all like speculation. There's going to be some mount bugs. I think they've almost entirely fixed these. There were times where you could like face backwards and hop on the horse and your character would be on backwards and it'd be funny as hell. There was times where if you hopped off your horse, you wouldn't be able to move. You'd have to try to dodge roll. It wouldn't work. So then you'd like dismiss your horse and then you'd recall your horse and hop on your horse and then hop off your horse. Sometimes that would fix it. Sometimes relog, and then like the ultimate fix was just relogging. So if you ever got stuck and you got into a fight and you're like, well, shit, that's XP debt because I can't move, you know? So we've had some pretty funny stuff happen. There is only one location. It's the, I don't think they've done the other location yet. There's Linehold, which is the starting location where the portal is. They were talking about, or Steven was talking about bifurcating the player base by having the Veyloon starting area, and I'm not sure if that means another portal. I'm not sure if that means like, I have no idea what that means as far as that goes, but seems like the team is cooking something. The character creator, that's, I actually didn't have that noted yet, so that's actually a really good question to ask. The character creator is functional. It looks kind of like what you've seen on stream, but like nowhere near the amount of stability that we have seen in the development update. So don't go in expecting to sculpt your character to look like Asmongold. I actually think they have the Asmongold preset. The dev tools themselves, I think the devs themselves have a much better version of the character creator that we don't have. A lot of it seems to be in-game. It's not a standalone yet, so we won't be getting it prior to A2. We'll probably have to create our character in-game. So I don't think we'll be able to really experience the character creator in its full state. The Empyrean, Vec, and Kalar are all available right now. There's some pretty funny bugs that happened with that, like the Empyrean females, if you took off the clothes, then I have to run an ad break to disable pre-rolls. Gross. Okay. The Empyrean females had a not safe for work bug where if you would make your character and then take all the gear off of them, they would just have their nipples showing and they would be nude. So thankfully this game is rated M for mature, but I'm pretty sure they've resolved that. So I think we're safer now. Yeah, the character creator is definitely a work in progress. There is a queue for logging in. We did a lot of spot tests for testing all that stuff. How do I say this? We had a test where I spent maybe 3 hours in the queue before getting to like position 1, and then as I was logging into the game, it crashed and I had to go into the queue again. Most of that has been resolved for the most part that I've noticed. Any server that I've tried logging in, I haven't had a queue longer than 1, even with all of our testers in. But I'm not sure. There was a lot of things that were happening with like queue times and stuff like that. It's very possible that we will have, when there's like a massive amount of people going onto the servers, that there will be a queue time. I'm not sure if it'll be for a very long time. I'm not sure if it'll be like instant. I'm not sure if we'll be experiencing queue time errors for like 4 hours. I think the stress test on Friday is going to tell us a lot about like how much they've actually resolved that system. We did a ton of testing with it though. So, and they did incredible progress on that. So it's been really, really cool to see. It's been really cool to see the progress on each and everything. Them implementing on feedback that we didn't think they'd get to quite as fast. So I think they're preparing as much as they possibly can. I think it'll still be a mess. I think people are going to be disappointed. I think people are going to be irritated, and I think that's okay. On that though, lots of crashes. Yeah, lots of crashes. On that though, I haven't really lagged at all, ever. I've experienced very, very little lag, almost none whatsoever. Even in like really congested areas with a bunch of players and stuff like that, hardly any lag. There will be frame drop. I think while they're testing all the memory stuff and pretty much the graphical fidelity and optimizing the areas and stuff like that, I think they are going to have a lot of frame drop. If you look towards a node, you'll notice a lot of frame drop, and if you look away from the node, you'll notice your frame rate increase by a ton. There are just some areas that are more optimized than others. That's kind of what you're going to experience. So an ad's about to start. I'm gonna kind of like chill. If there's anybody that wants to ask questions or whatever, I can wait on that. But yeah, I've said this before, but there's going to be some terrain visual bugs, and the last thing that's not really important that I can say probably during an ad break is that if you're attacking but doing no damage, or sprinting and not losing stamina or something like that, your server worker is probably crashed and you just need to relog. So that would be kind of like my experience on that. Okay. The stamina dodge roll work kind of like ESO? Kind of. So right now the stamina is, let's see. The stamina is 50 energy. I'm going to call it energy. Hey, what's up, Vander? I'll get to the artisanship and economic side here shortly, for sure. You'll be strong and manage. Didn't lag. Nice. The stamina is like 50, or the dodge roll is like 50 stamina per roll. And I think you start out with like 100. I think the fighter has like an ability that can get you to like 110. So you can actually boost up your stamina a little bit depending on your archetype. There is a universal skill tree that you can spec into the dodge roll, which you can either do sprint, dodge roll, or guard at this time. And I found doing the dodge roll is pretty helpful, especially in like solo content, because it reduces your stamina taken when you dodge roll properly. So like if you dodge roll an attack, you'll lose 35 stamina instead of 50, which can give you an extra stamina, or which can give you an extra dodge roll in the middle of combat if you do it all properly. So there is a little bit of skill expression there. I like that a lot. There's the sprinting one is really helpful for like moving across the map. It'll help increase your movement speed. It'll help increase like your stamina regeneration after sprinting. I would look at it, figure out what you would like to do. I know tanks like to do the guard because the guard one is, it's what tanks do. There's so on the Nakua, only the Empyrean, Vec, and Kalar are in the game right now. But there was a player, I want to say last night, 2 nights ago. I think it was 2 nights ago. We were right before the wipe. He was changing his .ini file to, he found a way to find the models of the other characters in game. So we were all kind of like watching, we were like sitting around in line hold, and we were like watching him change. We basically have all of the models in except for Tolnar, and the Renkai female is missing a head. But other than that, all the models, like the character models, are in the engine. We're just not playable, right? So we saw Nakua, we saw Dunir, we saw Pyre, we saw Vec, we saw Renkai, we saw Veilun, we saw, I said Dunir and Nakua, right? So yeah, so we've seen pretty much everything except for Tolnar, and the Renkai female was missing a head on the model. So that's where I know of what was in that specific build. We've seen character models done in the UE5 engine on stream, so I imagine they're still done. But on whatever build we had, the model wasn't in game for it yet. They were all pretty cool, actually. The Dunir was probably like Thogli was so excited when he saw the Dunir. He was like a fucking unit. Not gonna lie, it was pretty sick. There are a lot of very intelligent people in testing right now that are finding bugs that I would have never thought to find, or finding exploits or like hacks and reporting them to the dev team. And so like everything that we found, we reported like, hey, you can change your character model in the .ini file. It was also kind of funny. This was going to be one of my stories, but towards the end here, but I actually auto-attacked the guy once, and he instantly died, and I got corrupted, and like 10 guards jumped on top of me and just killed my ass, and I dropped like 3 of my items because he was level 1 and I was level 12. So it was kind of crazy. So I instantly went to like corruption level 3 and lost like a bunch of my items upon the guards just ganging up on me. But it was funny because he was like, I was like, I didn't think I would kill him just from 20 HP, or I didn't think I'd kill him with just one auto attack. And apparently, when he had to change his .ini file, he had to change his character so that he had 20 HP, so that he could get those models. It was kind of funny. But yeah, we saw daggers as well. So daggers are usable. The skill tree is not done yet. Obviously, it's pretty basic, but it's pretty clear that daggers are on the way. Rogue is on the way. It's been put on halt, but you can see there's still work at least being done on that stuff, even though it's not in game. So that was pretty cool for us. So I'm going to move on to some of these questions that I've been frequently seeing in the community and been answering in like relative like Discords for the most part. Sorry, my throat keeps going dry. I just have to keep wetting it. The questions I have frequently got is like, what is your favorite and least favorite aspect of testing? So far, grouping with people and clearing content is probably my favorite. The social aspect is phenomenal. Trying to figure out and like work with people on crafting needs, for gearing needs, for going out and completing things so that you can get like this drop that you really want from specific points of interest. I think the social aspect has probably been the most fun. I've met more people playing this game than I have in real life in the last like 5 years. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's been great. So like, and I'm not like an antisocial person. I used to bartend and stuff like that, so I touch grass every here and now, but I've made more friends playing Ashes of Creation than I have in real life. So that's been really fun to see. I've actually not just seen Intrepid workers in game, I've actually played with them. So I've played with a bunch of the devs. I've seen them around. Some of them are funny. I think it was Aldrich who we were testing. There was some simulacrum on the test server, and by simulacrum I mean there were like proxy characters or whatnot stuck on server borders, and so they were trying to teleport everybody into one spot so that they could basically get rid of all these like little proxy characters that are stuck on server borders. And they gave like a 3-minute notice, like, hey, if you want to stay where you're at, log out for like 5 minutes and then log back in. We're trying to otherwise you're going to get teleported to this node. And I was AFK fishing, watching anime, and I wasn't paying attention. And I ended up getting teleported there, and Aldrich was like, oops, hello. And I was like, oh, my bad. I didn't see the server message. So my bad. My bad, I guess. And he's like, well, hello, Lloyd, Lord of Lewdness. And like he's just doing like little RP stuff with me. And it was fun. So yeah, some of the devs are really cool. Played with Planendorf a lot. Seen Fupo in there. Played with Z and Alluring. I've seen like Jacob around. So there's a lot of fun stuff. The devs are playing the game. They're watching. They're kind of experiencing it from our point of view. They like to hop into the chats and kind of be like, all right, cool. What are you liking about this? What are you not liking about that? Like, they are very passionate, and as long as you're giving them constructive feedback, they're pretty open to it. And like, you could say like, oh, this would be really cool if we did this, and they'd be like, yeah, but it doesn't really work because these systems all interact like this, and so if you did this, then it would make something over here kind of funky. So like, they're not accepting of all feedback, but they let me get this straight. They are accepting of all feedback, but not all feedback is good for the game. Therefore, they like to contest sometimes. Like, if you say this sucks or this feels bad, it's more of like a why. Why do you feel that way? And how do you think, like, sometimes they'll ask like, what would your suggestion be to do that? But for the most part, as long as it's like staying along the core pillars, and like my video was saying earlier today, as long as it sticks with the core pillars, they're pretty open to feedback and like constructive criticism. I know new game coming out, not everyone knows everything, but have you seen many toxic players? Every game has them. Oh, of course. Yeah. There's so I'm just gonna skip ahead to these two questions. So I've seen, is ganking common and fighting over grind spots common, or PVX common, and also like, how is the social reputation in the game? And oh boy, all of those things tie in together. So ganking is not really common. If you're in the world, I have not noticed many people griefing others just to grief others. I have seen one player in particular doing that. They have become basically the enemy of the state to everybody on the server. Everybody knows that they're kind of like a dick and that they will kill you on sight, regardless of your level. Corruption has been increased tenfold since the beginning of what we started with, I want to say, and it's actually working now with guards attacking people and not letting them enter encampments and villages and stuff. So it's gotten a lot better. Ganking has decreased exponentially, and your social reputation follows you. And not just your social reputation, but the social reputation of the guild that you're associated with. So that one player kept on killing people, and instead of that one player being held responsible, that guild was held responsible. And so that guild kind of became the villain of the server. And that's been quite common. If you're having a douchebag player in your guild and you don't kick them, or you back them up, or you defend their actions, you'll find that most of the server will go against you. You'll find a lot of the players that are in other guilds that are also power leveling may not have the same levels as you, or they may not have the same numbers as them, but they would still fight the guild that had more numbers. And so, and not just one guild, but like multiple guilds would come together. There was like one time, I think it was Envious versus Overlord, Axiom, and Ethereum all at the same time, because Envious just had like all of their members in, and not all the other guilds had their members in. So it was a lot of fun. I think I wanted to join in with that fight, but one of the guys that I constantly play with, Nuclear Tango, he joined the fight and said it was super fun. It was a blast. They were about even with like the 3 guilds versus the 1 guild. They were about even in terms of like player size versus player size, and they had a lot of fun with that. That sparked a shit ton of drama in the Discord. I cannot wait for server drama. Server drama is going to be literally the fucking best in this game. It's going to be so good. I love watching people rant. There's so much salt being thrown at each other. It's crazy. The drama and the amount of tea and popcorn that you're going to need is going to be great for this game. I will say that much. I think anytime that there is PvP or PvX or anything of that mindset, especially when it comes to numbers and gears and like levels, there's a lot of things that could make people salty. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. But so yeah, those are probably like some of my favorite aspects of the game. My least favorite aspect is definitely just the amount of bugs that you need to relog and reform your party in order to continue. It really stops momentum for like me playing the game, but these are kind of like expected to happen, but regardless, it's annoying. It's an alpha. You're going to get annoyed. You're going to get frustrated with certain things. And then you're going to be like, it's an alpha. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on and enjoy my day. Stock up. Yeah, stock up on popcorn to enjoy the show for sure. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. The game doesn't. So another question I've been asked a lot is how much does the game hold your hand? Which isn't that much. It's you can go through the starting zone, do all the starting quests, learn how to craft, learn how to do all these things. But most people will probably just that have been testing, they'll probably just start the game, do the sweat of your brow quest, which is the quest that gives you an early mount. And also kind of like teaches you how to like craft as well and how to interact with stations and whatnot. So it's kind of like the intro quest to do. You'll find it from like a tradesman in Lionhold. When you get down to the bottom, you'll know what I mean when you get there. And then you'll complete that quest, get your horse, and I've seen people just go out into the world and they try to avoid like the initial server rush where things might be a little bit more laggy or things might be a little bit less stable on the network with a bunch of people all overloading one server worker. So I've noticed that is people will try to get their quest done and just leave as soon as possible. That may be in something that you need to do or something that you find like maybe I actually want to learn more about like Lionhold and the lore of the world, and maybe I want to stick around and hopefully the server worker is doing fine and dandy and you won't get stuck there as you try to do all that stuff. But I imagine that might be an issue. So you might be good doing the quest and getting out, but there's also a bunch of other quests that you can do. There's some hidden quests in Lionhold that you can go find. And also, if you are one of those people that leaves Lionhold early, you can always go back to do those quests to like figure it out yourself. So I think a lot of it's going to be fun. I think if you finish downloading it, you probably have access. You could probably check the Discord channel. There should be like a news channel, or you should be able to see some certain NDA early tests channels. So if you're downloading, you're probably there. You've probably got it. There is quite a big learning curve to the game, though. So another question I was asked was, if the game doesn't hold your hand that much, is there a huge learning curve? And kind of. The learning curve is based on how much you want to do, to be honest. Like, every single system in Ashes of Creation is relatively simple. Yeah, the download is only available if you've been emailed from Intrepid, correct. A lot of the... looking for group, exactly. So yeah, they just added 1,000 testers in today. So they are looking to do a little bit more stress testing tomorrow, I believe, at 10 a.m. So if you can and you're in the alpha, please show up for the stress test. It'll help out for Friday immensely. We want to have as smooth of a process as possible. I'll probably log in from work. I'll probably just like connect to my PC at home from work and then and just log in and just be in the queue time or whatever. So it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, the learning curve is basically based upon how do I put this? It'll be based upon on like what you want to do. Like every single system is relatively rudimentary. The crafting system, you put items in together and you craft what you want to craft. But as you get better at crafting, or there's higher tiers that you need to do, it gets increasingly more intricate, and I think that's pretty well designed. I think if you're starting out with tier 1, and everything is simple, I think that's good. If you started off too complicated, people just won't interact with the system. So I think their direction on that is pretty good. I think finding a lot of these things are indeed really, really good for the really good for the community. You can use your own keybinds. So most of the settings in game will be done in. You can just press escape and you can look at keybinds. You can look at your gameplay section and go into combat. You can have auto attack enabled, disabled. You can have auto attack enabled after a melee ability. You can have auto attack enabled after a ranged ability. You can switch all these different types of settings. It's pretty advanced. I would say the keybinds don't include everything that I want. Like I want to have like a scroll up keybind and a scroll down keybind. That will help with a lot of my modifiers and stuff that I do in most MMO games. Like generally for tab targeting, I will have scroll up for enemies and scroll down for friendlies. And then for like zooming in and out, I'll do like control mouse up and control mouse down. So I changed those up, but those aren't in currently. So hopefully those get changed soon. TM. Let's see. Even like the mayor system, which is supposed to be like the most complicated system, it was pretty simple for me to use. You basically go in, make sure that your node has buy orders and commissions, set your tax rate, and then you just go and play your game. There's a lot more intricacies to it when it comes to money management, when it comes to figuring out which materials and which buy orders you want to get for which building you want to build for your node. I think there's going to be a lot of fun macro game type of stuff. I think Sunny from Loreforged is going to have a great time figuring all that stuff out. I might actually, if he would like, I would probably send that stuff over to him. Because I've interacted a lot with that system. I have like I said earlier, I'm going to have a mayoral video coming out probably before Friday. But yeah, I had a great time. Most of those systems are like that. Even like Archetypes are kind of simple. They don't really have a rotation. You can like make your own rotation. Not getting anywhere near the economy mayor stuff. I mean, I like to gather and I like to kill stuff too. So I think I'm with you on that boat. But I do feel inclined to learn more about the crafting system, simply because I need to know what I need to gather, right? So like when I'm out in the world, I need to know, do I need rubies? Do I need granite? Do I need slate? Do I need like what types of things do I need for crafting and gathering for the gear that I want, you know? Like so I do think even as like a PvE, or well, I should say PvX player. PvE PvP player is what I was going to say. Even as a PvX player, I will have to interact with the crafting and gathering system, I think, as well. And so I've also been asked quite a bit, what is the best archetype? And man, it's everywhere. It's everything. I really don't know. The cleric seems to be the most OP to me. A lot of people are saying Bard is the most OP. Fighter seems really solid. Tank seems pretty good for certain situations, also really bad in other situations. Like, tank is really bad for soloing. Tank is really good for group comp play. Tank is really good for PvP. Cleric is pretty much, I would say, the all-arounder. You could do like a DPS cleric, you can do heal bot cleric, you can do like AoE cleric, you can do like support CC cleric. You can do a bunch of things with cleric. So I think cleric is probably the most OP just because of their utility. The only thing that's bad about cleric is they have like no mobility. So mobility on cleric is not very good, which could be good for balancing, you know. However, I was hitting Nuclear Tango. I was hitting him for about maybe 5 to 6 minutes on Ranger while geared up. and his health bar never went below 25%. So, or it never went down below 75%. So I never got like the first chunk of his HP bar, and I was just hitting him there for like 4-6 rotations, just constantly firing at him, using my weapon combos, hitting him with bleeds, burns, all my lightning strike that like procs with my barrage and into a headshot, which wounds the healing, which cuts healing. And he just never lost any HP, and he was only 1 level higher than me with about similar gear. So Cleric seems really, really strong. Bard is insanely OP for group content. Having Pensive Melody is absolutely a banger for the whole group. You'll probably want a Bard in each one of your groups in your party. Let's see. Fighter is very good for solo, also very good for AoE clearing. They have a lot of utility that will allow them to off tank as well, especially when they get to like level 12, when they can actually experience the tier 3 of their skills. So basically how archetype skills work is like at level 1, you get like your passive ability, which like for fighters it's momentum, for tanks you have like your courage, cleric you have divine power, etc., etc. So you at level 1 you have like your tier 1 abilities that you can do, and then at level 6 you have your tier 2 that opens up, and then at level 12 tier 3 opens up, and tier 3 is kind of like max level, or the max that you can get for your skills and abilities that are available. So I think getting to level 12 is going to be most people's priority, is just so that they can access that tree. They fixed the bug / exploit where you could go into like the second, like you hit level 6 and then you could pick anything from the tier 1 or tier 2 tree. Like, because most people would just get enough to get into the tier 2 tree, and then they would deselect their abilities in the tier 1 tree and just spec everything in the tier 2 tree, or something like that, or the best abilities in there that they wanted to do. I think there is some room for changing like how you want to do your playstyle, but overall there's generally just abilities that shine that you want to have on your bar. I wouldn't say it's in its final spot even for the archetype section. I would think it probably still needs a lot of work, but is definitely going to be something that they work and improve on. It's in the right direction. It's moving in the right direction. I lost my train of thought, so I hope I said the right thing. Can Bard solo small party heal? Yes, it can. Absolutely. The cheerful melody is very, very strong for small group party heals, and it's also really, really strong for the tank on the tank for whatever reason. Like everyone else in the party was getting like plus 27 heals, but with cheerful melody going, the tank was like sometimes getting 200, 400 heals. Like it was absolutely fucking insane. I don't know what interaction that is. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if it's intended. But yeah, it's for whatever reason the bard cheerful melody with the tank was good. And generally if you're in a party, if you have either a bard or a cleric, you're fine. But it's necessary to have either a bard or a cleric in each party, I think. So love your supports because they are very, very necessary. And I'm even debating on either going fighter, ranger, or cleric at this point, or mage. So like I'm completely like I haven't played bard yet, so maybe I played bard at the start of Alpha 2 simply because I need to do more learning up before the PvP tournament. So that might be a thing that I do. How fleshed out are the talents? Like, is there a meta going on one spell over the other? With talents, what do you mean? Like for archetype abilities or like weapons trees? Like, what do you mean by talents? I guess because like tank Definitely needs grid at level 6. Like fighter will generally take like brutal cleave and lethal blow with like the upgrade to lethal blow where you can get mana and HP on the overkill with lethal blow. There's some things that like you'll do like AoE builds or group builds where if you have like a tank fighter group together, you'll have the fighter do whirlwind into the tank doing I forget some ability that trips, and then the fighter can maim, which will do like 300% bonus physical damage on that, and it will just do a shit ton of damage between the combination. So it is very dependent on like your synergy with your party. It's really dependent on like how you play. I don't think it's a meta, but there are definitely abilities that are very, very strong in certain situations, depending on like how you're going. Login is the hardest boss. It could be, yeah. Oh, it's stuck connecting. Fuck. Um, for the connecting bug, I would say try exiting out from your task manager and trying to log back in. And we're in an ad, so I'm not sure if you heard that. So I'm just going to type this out to you. Try escaping out from task manager and logging back. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. The connecting bug tends to happen. Like these things happen. But you can usually brute force your way in after a while. So pretty good. Let me see here. Oh. So with what? Ad break in progress. Huh? Oh, it just now started? Fun. Well, while this ad break's going, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. 1 second. Yeah. So basically the ads, I am forced to run 3 minutes of ads per hour. It's really shit. So I don't know if what's best if I do 3-minute ad break or I do 1.5 twice every hour, which is ass regardless. Mr. Wet Fart Enjoyer, welcome. Am I part of the content creator program? I don't think anybody is part of the content creator program yet. They hired Adam recently, so he's been doing his onboarding and whatnot. And so they haven't reached out to anybody with a content creator program, but I think we have a pretty solid guess on who some of the bigger content creators are that will be in there. I think I would like to be, but if not, it's whatever. I'm going to be playing the game. I'm going to be streaming it. I'm going to be making content about it. And if they ever pick me up, that'll be great. But I'm going to keep the grind going regardless. And I have also been, how do I say this? I've been accused of being a shill for Intrepid because I just want to be part of the content creator program, which isn't really the case. So anything that I say is going to either be my genuine feelings or constructive criticism towards Intrepid, where I deem it necessary. If I don't think, like, if I don't like something, I'm gonna straight up say I don't like it. Like I've already said in the stream, like things that I don't like, things that are annoying and stuff. But generally, I like to keep more of a positive outlook on things. I don't like shitting on people where it's not necessary. I am NA, so I will 100% be North American server. Yeah. I am overwhelmingly positive about this because I'm aware of what a alpha test is, and I've been following the project for about like 5 years. I've been pretty invested in it, and I've been seeing pretty low amount of red flags I think there was only like one red flag that I've ever seen with this company, which was like just bad communication, which they seem to be trying to resolve with this transparent alpha release. They're trying to stick to their word here, and I think it's well deserved that they are being a little bit more open with the community now than probably more than they ever have been. So I think this is a good step in the right direction. They've learned from their mistake, and I'm just going to keep trusting Intrepid until they do me dirty. So if they ever take like the wrong path down something, then yeah, maybe my voice will be heard in a negative outlet. But for the most part, I like to stay positive on things, and then I won't comment on things that I don't like in other games unless it's constructive either. So, like I think I was playing WoW, and I hadn't played WoW seriously ever, but I had recently started getting into raiding, and I had a lot of fun. Where previously I was overly negative about WoW, and I think that changed my perspective. And I'm willing to change my perspective on things, and I'm not willing to like tunnel in on whether something's good or bad. I like to look at things objectively if I can. Is the forum name in the current in-game name? No, it's not. You will make your character name in the character creator. So, yeah, of course. I like your name, Wet Fart Enjoyer. I can't imagine there's too many people that like to enjoy their wet farts. Actually, I'm quite terrified of my wet farts. So, there's that. What else did I have? Oh yeah, I haven't even touched on like mage, ranger, or tank yet. Or I guess I haven't really touched on bard either. Bard is really good with like group play. They have resonant weapon, which is like one of their most powerful. I believe it got majorly nerfed, but they also made it available quicker into the tier system that you are available with. So believe it or not, the name was already taken. Oh god. Yeah, resonant weapon has been made earlier in their skill trees because it's such like an integral part of their kit. But it was also heavily nerfed from before, but still seems to be OP from what I've been hearing. So that I heard there was going to be like a major ranger update or something like that, but I haven't noticed it. But it feels better than when I played the very first test. So the very first test, I felt like I was hitting like a wet noodle. I was probably hitting less than a tank. The only reason why Ranger was good during some of the earlier tests was because that rusty spear that had like 226 physical power, which added a lot of damage, which made Ranger feel decent. In a very OP broken meta with the spear, using that as a stat stick. Since they've removed the rusty spear from the game, Ranger felt awful, and then I just picked it up recently, got to like level 12 with it, and it was doing a lot more damage than I previously remember, but I don't know if that was the overhaul that they were talking about when it came to like Ranger buffs. I think that there are certain rotations that people won't do because they don't read into the abilities, and I think that is going to be a fun little learning curve for people. I'm not going to spoil everything. I don't want to be one of those streamers that does like the top 25 tips that you need to learn now before Alpha 2 even begins. Like I'm not that type of creator. I like to stream the game. I like to play what I think is strong and what I'm going to have the most fun with. So how long does it take to level? That is one of my questions on here. Is it really 100 hours to level 25? Probably. I think that is probably fair to say that that is what they were aiming for and where they're getting it. It's kind of hard to also tell because when we were grinding like really high levels and stuff like that, most of the mobs were bugged, or we would find locations that we could bug out the mobs so that we could grind even more. Honestly, I think if there was some criticism to be had, I think the leveling process with experience gained and the mob difficulty needs to be probably reduced a little bit, simply because it takes way too long to get to be where I feel like I'm playing my archetype. Like playing at level 12 feels really good, but getting to level 12 is a pain and a half. Let me put it that way. Like getting to level 10 is probably okay. Getting to level 11 and 12 is a pain in the ass, and then anything after that is even harder. But once you start hitting level 12, you start feeling like you're doing what you need to be doing. And then when you hit like level 20, from what I heard, you feel like a god. So like I don't think the level scaling is good. I played 64 hours on a 3-day test, and I got to level 17 on a fighter with some pretty fun mob grinding spots that weren't bugged out. But that was also with a rusty spear. So I'm not really sure. And then there was people that were like level 27 on that test as well. So because of the guild exploit bug. So I don't know. I think they're trying to figure that out. I think they're trying to figure out with all the server wipes and stuff like that, they're trying to figure out like, okay, let me try to eliminate as many of these issues that we were having and then see how the natural level progression goes. And then they want to try to balance that. But with how many different variables were happening in the world and stuff, it's very hard for the devs to get an accurate count on like, is this balanced or not? Are they just abusing things that are broken or not? And like they have that data, they have like the bug reports that we do. So I think it's really hard for the devs to get accurate data on exactly what they want. So even though I'm not currently happy with how you have to grind to get to a certain level, that will probably change in the near future or in the at least upon the horizon. It may not be like super near like next week or anything like that, but I imagine like a month or two, we'll see a little bit more clearly on what's going on with like the leveling of progression and how that goes. Yeah, basically we need to test and we need to test with as many variables where things are not broken because there were a lot of things broken and they were fixing things very, very quickly. So I think when they said that the launch was going to be on the 25th, Jamie and I were quite scared. Honestly, we're like, game might be doomed. But as we're getting closer and closer, I'm feeling more confident. The 25th being a good date where the game is in a good enough state for the players to go in and provide like constructive feedback. I've seen so many great improvements in the last like week or two that have substantially increased like the playability of the game, especially on like a more massive part of part of the thing. Yeah. And that would be a thing that happens, AV, is where they would fix something and then like something else about that mob is now broken where it wasn't before, like teleporting or something like that, where it shouldn't teleport. Or I think I got Firebrand stuck in the terrain and it probably killed a couple passerbys because I would attack Firebrand and then I would hop on my mount and then I would just run away. And then he got bugged into some terrain to where I couldn't hit him and he could still hit other people. And so there was probably some people that were a little upset with Firebrand being stuck in that boulder. Tell us how battle resing feels, that component to combat. I'd say it's pretty balanced right now. I would definitely say that battle resing feels balanced. It takes a lot of mana from the cleric. Even with like bards doing like their pensive melody and stuff like that, battle resing in battle is not usually the best thing to do. Especially if your tank is the one that needs to be battle resed, your party is going to be hurting. It takes a long time. It's very visible. Even in PvP, it's like, oh, that cleric's resing, let me go kill him now, because that's the window where they don't have like their hots up. They don't have like heals going on other people. They're like in their cast time and they're not able to like really move out unless they like dodge roll. So that depends on like their stamina. So there's a lot of interesting aspects when it comes to battle resing, and I think it's in a pretty good state right now. I would say that I would like to keep this feeling for battle resing, that it is dangerous, that it does take a long time, and that using it feels impactful. Yeah. Like there's a lot of party communication, or like not communication, party coordination. That's the word, coordination. There's a lot of coordination that needs to happen when your cleric is battle resing. So I think that's probably really good. For the mage, I guess I should also say for the archetypes, the highest level I've gotten for fighter was level 17. The highest level I've gotten for cleric was like level 14. For bard was level 5. Mage was level 10. Ranger was level 13. And tank was level 5. So I'm not as knowledgeable in bard and tank, but for mage, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun on the mage. The burst windows that you have, super good. I think the ability to nuke somebody is very high with the mage. However, I do think that you run into A, mana problems, B, your mobility isn't that great even with blink. Sometimes you want to like just not have blink at all just because the other abilities are really strong in the early game. The ice and lightning have a lot of synergy together, but they feel pretty overwhelmingly weak. So the two things that are supposed to give you the most synergy feel like the worst. And so like I tended to go towards more of a fire build because the fire just does a ton of damage. However, I did use Cone of Cold always, regardless, because Cone of Cold is like such a useful. It's so useful to have the ability to freeze an opponent. So like I would have like my wand as like a chill instead of like a burn, because like the burn would it would add extra damage. It would make your DPS more. So you're either using your wand as a burn or a chill. I hardly used it for volatile, even though volatile sounds really good. I'm sure volatile is probably really good, but I for the simple utility that you get from the chill and then using Cone of Cold to freeze an opponent can really like, it's like a kick. It's like a disruptor of the enemy. So you can use that in PvP. You can also use that on certain mobs that are about to do like a big hit. You can freeze them and stop them from doing that. Like for the Gravehide Flayer, I would make sure that they're chilled with my weapon attacks, and then I would Cone of Cold them as they're like cackling or laughing, so that they don't just spin around and do like a ton of damage. So yeah. Have I crowd controlled with the ice spells? Yeah, I absolutely have. I take you can put a number in each spell category. So yeah, so like it's the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 system where you get like your tier 1 spells, and then like your tier 2 spells open up at level 6, and then your tier 3 spells open up at level 12. So you can definitely choose like lightning, fire, or frost in the early levels in the tier 1. And then from there on out, there's like more spells that you get in tier 2 that seem to be like better, stronger. I think the mage is the only tree that does this, but like your Cone of Cold has an upgrade, but you can only upgrade it once you've reached the tier 2 level. So like once you've hit level 6 or above, only then can your Cone of Cold get upgraded. So I think that's pretty interesting. I think that's the only archetype that does something like that. I don't know if there's any other ones that do that. But yeah, it's definitely, you have your ability to choose the playstyle that you want and how you want to work with your group for sure. And there's probably best ways to do it with a certain group and worse ways to do it with another group. Like if you don't have a tank in your party and you're playing fire mage, it's probably pretty bad because you don't have that disrupt as often. and your fighter is going to have to spec into like the crippling kick or something like that, where they just like kick. It's the interrupt basically. And your fighter might have to go into something that he doesn't want to go into. So there is some communication that needs to happen with your party and how you are approaching encounters and how you're going through certain dungeons, and that is a lot of fun. Currently, you don't have to go to a node to respec. You can just respec anywhere. So abuse that while you can. Is kind of all I can say. But yeah, I think the Ice Mage is probably more fitting for my playstyle, but it was relatively weak even with like the lightning that you could do. Mage and Ranger were supposed to be getting buffs, so and Tank, I believe. Mage, Ranger, and Tank are all feeling a little lackluster. Cleric and Bard are OP. Fighter seems to have the best kit available, but not the strongest archetype, strangely enough. I definitely thought the fighter was going to be absolutely the strongest and take over absolutely everything, but it just seems to have really good self-sustain, really good AoE clearing, really good for like solo playing. Really good DPS, especially if you get gear on the fighter, they can crit for a lot of damage. And they have a really good rotation. Like their rotation feels phenomenal. For Ranger, you have particularly one rotation, which is like once you get high enough level, it's basically lightning shot, barrage into lightning reload, and then you do another barrage before your lightning shot proc goes out. And you can do that with like the Hunt of the Raven, or you can do that with the Hunt of the Tiger. Snipe is a good opener with it. It doesn't do that much damage unless you're like critting, and then it takes a long time to do. So it's a good opener. I wouldn't ever use it in like actual combat. Let's see. It does have an upgrade that's really good that will increase your movement speed for like by like 30%, which is huge during like PvP fights. If you can get your snipe off, that's a really good thing that you can have. And then headshot will wound above 50% HP, and it does like you have like an ability that you can upgrade it into that will basically do double damage or like something like that when they're below 50% HP, which is really, really good for Ranger. I think for the most part, you're going to be using your basic attacks when things are above 50% HP. And then once they hit like below 50% HP, that's when you do your hunt, lightning shot, barrage, lightning reload, barrage into headshot combo. And the amount of burst that comes out of that like combo is devastating. You will pretty much one-shot people. It's pretty crazy. For tank, I would say ask Jamie all about the tank. I know very, very little about tank. They seem to be more like supports for League of Legends, where they are very control based. They control the battlefield with like CC, taunts, all that stuff. They seem to be very, very strong in PvP with all the CC that they can have. CC is king, obviously, in PvP. So having a tank in your party is very, very beneficial, but man, is it a struggle when you're solo. So yeah, damage mitigation is insane. Also, if you don't have a healer, if you don't have like a bard or a cleric, you're probably gonna have a rough time as well. So even with like tanks with DPSs all around them, are probably going to struggle as well. That's kind of like how I see that. Trying to think. Yeah, with I only experienced a tank until level 5, but I think there is a solo skill that or like a solo build that you can do, but you'll have to change it whenever you group, which you tell me if you like that or don't like that as a tank, I guess. Yeah, have a healer. Healers are necessary. Clerics and bards are your best friends, always. what the stream theme will be on Friday. I don't think they've ever said. The general consensus of what's going to be on the stream is going to be basically that it's going to be the brief preview of the Alpha 2 opening. They may do like some little show, and then when the stream is over, that's when they open up the servers. That would be my guess. That's the consensus of the community. I guess the order of operations before they open up a server for a wipe, they'll generally like talk to us in the NDA chat. They'll open up a stage. They'll have Steven. Sometimes they'll have Margaret. Sometimes it's just Jacob, Zach, and Roshan there. Roshan and Vaknar help on the stage sometimes too. Like any variation of these people will be kind of breaking down like, hey, these are our objectives. This is what we want to test. I hope you have a great time. Try to avoid doing X, Y, Z because we want to get specific data. And then have a great time and you're free to go. Servers are open and then we all go in. I imagine the live stream on Friday is going to be some version of that, probably a little bit more theatrical with the hype and excitement. So I would expect there to be some hype build up for that, with also some very nervous, intrepid devs sitting behind their computers, like, hope it's good. Like, I imagine that's the type of vibe that we're going to get on Friday. Yeah, prepare us for a queue simulator. Yeah, I mean that's happened too, where we're super hyped to get in, we're ready to test, we're ready to do things, and then fucking queue for an hour, 2 hours, and we found a bug. Okay, now servers are going to be down for another 2 hours, and then we'll update the build, and you can re-download it. Try again. There's a lot of these things that happen. It's probably going to happen on Friday. I wouldn't worry too much about it. That's kind of it is what it is. That's kind of how we do it. But overall, with all the archetypes and everything like that being done, the archetypes feel, or the combat feels great. I would say that it feels, from the fighter standpoint, it feels very copy paste from like the Arms Warrior. If you like the modern day Arms Warrior for WoW, you're gonna love playing the fighter. Ranger probably feels close to the hunter as well. Feels really good. A little bit more machine gunny. I think there could be some balance around like, what do you want these classes to look like? How much damage do you expect them to go out? I think there's balance around like attack speeds and stuff like that for weapon skills and whatnot. So there are definitely things that I have issues with that I will provide feedback on, but most of the feedback that they're wanting at the moment is server related, bug related, mob interaction related. They're worried less about like the combat balance side of things. Mage feels good. Cast times relatively good. Not all of them are necessary for like long casts. Like, you feel like you can get your cast off pretty often. Cleric has a lot of things that they can do in a lot of ways they can spec, so it feels really good to play Cleric, actually. I actually had a lot of fun playing Cleric. Let's see. Bard feels more auto attack heavy, but like, you have different utilities and stuff that you can use. But combat overall feels good, I want to say. I did not do a treasure hunt, mostly because I think most of those treasures were borked. They were like broken early game. I think I did one that gave me quite a bit. The reason why people didn't do like the treasure hunt, or they did treasure hunts early, but they were pretty exploitable, where you could just like walk over there, get like a ton of like glint or gold, and then once they kind of like removed the broken part about the treasure maps and stuff like that, then I've seen a lot less people be doing them. I don't know if it's because they were broken or because they were completely removed to stop the exploiting for the moment, but that was part of it. Because you would just see like these random treasure chests in the world that you could open. So Mostly glint, mostly gold, mostly things that you could spend currency on, I think. And so I don't know. There was a lot of things that were, how do I obtain a hunt? Let's see. I'm trying to think if that's what you're asking or not. Like, oh, treasure hunt? I mean, they're like treasure maps, I guess. So they're like in the world randomly. Like you can find them in like out in the environment, or you can get them from drops. You can get them just pretty much anywhere in the world that, but you have to like find those locations. They're pretty static locations for the treasure maps. The pre-order cosmetics are not available at the moment. I don't think I've seen any crazy things. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any cosmetics or anything like that. What's up? There's an ad playing, so I'm kind of being quiet, but Daniel had a question if he's still able to listen. Did Intrepid ever show us a cosmetic for a house or a building? Not currently. That is not currently in the game. So freeholds, let me see. Freeholds, buildings, like instance housing, I think all that comes phase 2, maybe phase 3. So we won't get that in phase 1 at all. And the cosmetics for those also haven't been implemented in the game. I can say though that cosmetics are cosmetics are, well, freeholds are level 50, yeah. But or at least that's what they said last. But for alpha testing, they'll probably open up freeholds before then. The cosmetics generally don't, or the cosmetics are going to be earnable in game. So you don't just start off with cosmetics when you're playing Ashes of Creation either. So you'll basically be in game trying to earn it, like buying it from a vendor or something like that. You won't just automatically have cosmetics. So even if you've spent, like me, money on cosmetics, doesn't mean that your character automatically has them. So I wouldn't expect that. But I haven't seen any in-game cosmetics. I've seen some, like the palace cats. They're available in game, and they are cute little meow meows, and they're amazing pets, or not pets. They're amazing mounts. I've seen the wolf mount. I've seen the bear mount. I've seen horse mounts. I've seen deer as a beast of burden, but I think that got removed because of an exploit. With like commodities and stuff. The mob AI and stuff in general is pretty, well, I guess somebody was asking about hunts. So like hunting in Ashes of Creation is very, very rudimentary right now, along with a lot of the artisanship skill trees and stuff like that. They are basically just objects placed in the world, and you will pet like a wolf, or you like a docile wolf is what it'll be named, or a docile palace cat, and then you'll pet it, and then it'll die, and then it'll end up in your material list. So you can die with like mounts that you can put into the animal husbandry system. You can die with them in your material bag, and people can take them, or they'll disappear, and you can lose that stuff. So the hunting and all that stuff is losable upon death, and you will die a lot, I promise, especially when you're going back to town with the thing that you want, and you are going to die and be really, really sad. It's going to happen. Yeah, exactly. So if you're around, I have noticed that there are like static hunting spots, there are like static mining spots, but sometimes not all the resource nodes are the exact same. Like sometimes rubies will be granite, sometimes granite will be like sapphire. Um, so it doesn't seem like they're static at the moment. But that could change. They could be on the 25th. To kind of like help with replication graph things. So yeah, it's only an alpha, and that's why I tell myself when I cry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of that, speaking of what? Quest items currently appear in your regular item inventory, and your regular item inventory does not drop upon death. So you can have gear in your item inventory. You can have basically anything that's not glint, anything that's not like materials like wood or hunting flowers, even like the mayor guild seal, or not mayor, the guild seal is a material. You'll have like emblems that are materials, which are like drops from mobs that can help you with crafting. There's there's a few things that will be in the material list that you'll want to keep on your body, but like won't be able to if you die. However, most of your items I think are safe. I think a lot of the people, like my experience with like material drop is very nonchalant. Like I've died with so much glint on me. I've died with so many materials, so many like rare materials with like epic rubies and stuff like that that I could craft into like really good gear. But uh, honestly, like I have no gear fear because I played a bunch of Tarkov, and I never get sad about like what I drop. I'm like, oh shit, I lost that. Oh shit, like that didn't work for me. Or like, oh, I couldn't make it to town in time. But I never like got absolutely devastated that I was losing something. I have seen some people get some like epic flex, and we're gonna make the item that they need, and they needed just that amount, and then they lost it, and they were like, no, please someone save my body. Please somebody save it. But that happens quite rarely. Rarely. You will also see people looting your body. There is like some sort of like common courtesy thing around it where like try not to loot other people's bodies, especially if you're in the same group. But I've seen people just not give a fuck, and it be the funniest thing in the world. So, like I said, social reputation matters. You are going to get a social reputation around those things. It's either going to be funny or people are going to be mad, and it might be funny because people are mad. But that honestly, that's probably the most fun that I've had with the game so far. Is that these people's interactions around bugged things, or like around um different instances of weird shit happening. Like there was this one time where I was playing as mage, and I got trapped in a little divot, and normally people would do the unstuck button, but I said let me try getting out of it before I do the unstuck button, and I tried blinking out of this like little divot that I couldn't get out of, and I shot about 80 yards up into the air, just flying around looking at the entire world. It was beautiful, by the way. And then I almost fell to death with about like 13 HP remaining. And that was probably one of the funnest like interactions. And it was a bug. It was not intended. It was not good for the game, but it was funny as hell. Um so I reported it. I sent the I sent the little video to the devs, and they laughed at me, and they're like, "Well, at least you survived and you figured a way out." So I love checking that stuff. Dude, Planendorf and team did great with the skybox. The skybox looks phenomenal. We're starting to see rain and snow in the game. It looks beautiful. A lot of it is going to be client side, so people are going to have issues with that, but I think it's great. I don't really care if it's client side or not. It's whatever, if you ask me. Let's see. Margaret's working. Margaret's in town, so she's now posting a lot. So that's cool. I had to check. I had to check the news, and Margaret is giving us updates. So that's pretty cool. She's back. You already fly? Not on purpose. Not on purpose. Oh, there's not a in the slash bug. There's no picture or screenshot. It's been requested to add like a screenshot thing to the bug request, but that's not currently in game. I've been recording stuff on my own. I was given permission by Vaknar and Roshan to well, actually no, I don't think it was Vaknar and Roshan. I think Planendorf asked the team, and I think Margaret was part of the community team that said you can record and take screenshots, but you can't post them outside of the NDA channels. So if it's in the NDA channel, it's allowed. And generally, like in the forums, the NDA forums, I can link the Discord message into the forums if there's a bug like that. So there's ways to do those things, but with the whatchamacallit, with the NDA release, that probably won't be necessary anymore. I could probably just link them the video or something like that, and they can take a view anywhere. So that'll be really cool. I'm really excited for that stuff. Grouping, I think I covered this a little bit earlier. Grouping is not really necessary, but it does make your experience a lot easier. The economy was dog shit. I think it's better now. I think the economy is in a decent spot. I think selling glint is a really cool way of like a mob not dropping gold or silver or something like that, because that kind of like breaks immersion, right? So like I think glint is a really cool way to say like you get this glint from this mob which holds essence, and we use this essence to fund the node, and that node will, pay you the currency that you're looking for so that you can buy goods and sell goods and whatnot. And I think that's a really cool thing that they've done. Seems good to me. You lose like you have like a 25% chance to drop glint. You have a 25% chance to delete glint. So there is a well, it's technically a gold sink, but it's a glint sink, I guess you could call it. But yeah. Some fun stuff. Some fun stuff now. The Highwayman Hills 40v40 battle was a blast. Basically in the 3-minute or the 3-day test, there was a 40v40 battle that occurred. Basically, we had 40 people group up, and we just started running outside of the town and just conquering everything that we could from level 1. Yeah, I was in it. So we basically had Z as our shot caller. We had like Planendorf, Alluring, we had Jamie, me, Chibi, Vertec. There was just a shit ton of people. I think Anduin might have been there. There was like a shit ton of us there. And we were just grinding through the map, and we were just kind of like taking on like level 10 things as like level 1s and 2s, and we were getting shit XP for it. But we were having a blast, and like some of us were dying and getting XP debt. And we were just like, oh god, please, somebody tank this. Somebody do this. We need heals, and like you got one shot. Like there was a lot of things that were happening, and it was a lot of fun. But we were clearing content at like level 1. We basically got to like level 4, and then Envious was doing the same thing, and there was like mobs to our left, Envious right in front of us, and then we were like right there. And then the spawn point was like behind us to our right. And then there was like a bridge to our left. So we ended up like having this battle where we ended up getting like pushed back into like the spawn point location, to where Envious tried to just keep on spawn camping us there and like spawn killing us. But we got to a point where we were able to push up far enough push them back towards the bridge, and then like anybody that we killed would spawn behind us, and like we would be able to like pick them off one by one as like our like strategy until like they just completely backed off, and you just had like GG well played in the chat. And there was the issue was that was the only spawn point, so it's kind of like a shitty tactic, but it was the tactic that we used to win. And it's kind of dirty, but because of that, the feedback was, can we please have more than one spawn point in like points of interest and stuff like that? So can we have like better spawn points around these things, or can we like choose to go somewhere else? So the shrines, the essence, and where you spawn is a little bit more varied now, so that's nice. There are still some of those spawn points that you can just keep getting spawn killed at. I would still say that we need more spawn points or less, with like instead of it being right outside the point of interest, like maybe do it only from the node that you're a citizen of, or possibly just have multiple spawn points around points of interest so that you're not just constantly getting into these situations. I think they were thinking about adding PvP protection around these things so that you can't get spawn killed. So that might be an option as well. I think there's a lot of different options, and it just really depends on what Intrepid wants to do. But we can say like, this sucks, please fix, and they'll be like, okay, we'll see what we can do about it, right? So there's those interactions. It's been pretty fun doing those things. As you're walking through the world, you'll see somebody in the open world, and oh shit, are they gonna attack me, or are they not? And it's like, oh, it's a cleric, and they just like throw a couple mens, and you're like, oh, that's my homie. That's my homie right there. You know, like, my boy's got me, he's healing me up. I just got done with a tough PvP battle, or PvE battle, and I'm like 25% HP, and a nice little cleric throws some mens, maybe like a little judgment my way, and we're chilling, we're happy, and we're just smiling at each other, and like, thanks, dude. And those interactions are great. And sometimes people will be like, send a couple arrows your way, put two in the chest to you, and then they kind of dance back and forth like, hey, you want a duel? You want to flag up? You turn on your flag, and then if you want a duel, you kind of just turn on your flag, and as soon as you turn on your flag, the battle's a go. You know, those are the kinds of interactions that you have within the world, and it's a lot of fun. So a lot of the PvP in the open world a lot of it's consensual, actually. So it, like, the intentions that players do, and like how they interact with each other is a lot of fun. Like, throw a couple autos at you and dance and say, hey, you want to do this thing or nah? You want to throw down? It's a lot of fun. There are some people that just straight up attack you. As you're fighting mobs, they will just straight up attack you. And I have gotten into some territory fights over, like, this is a really good grind spot, and you have like 6 people come in, while you have like 3 members like doing the actual content, and 3 members PvPing to get you off of the grind spot. So these fun interactions happen, and I wouldn't consider that griefing. I'm considering that, like, that's how PvX is. Like, that's the experience of what PvX actually is you have 3 people trying to hold off the PvE mobs and do the grind spot, while you have 3 other people like holding off the other players. And that's what PvX is. That's what holding your ground is, and making sure that you can take over your territory so that you can get further. And you just walked across the entire Riverlands to get to that spot, and somebody's there, and you got to take it over. Sometimes that shit happens, you know? So it's really good to have a squad like that. We even had a 4v15 battle at like level 4 between like a couple of us that were all in the AOC Discord chat versus like Overlord, and Llewd was there, and his squad basically, and it was a lot of fun. I was playing Mage, and that's where I found out like Mage can be really, really strong in PvP. Like, I would blink in Cone of Colds like 3 members, and they'd be down to like half HP, and then like I would die, but like 3 of their members would die, even though we were like heavily disadvantaged, it was a lot of fun. Even though we were heavily disadvantaged, it was an amazing time. We got enough XP debt. We're like GG's in chat, and then everybody left. Like, Golid messages me on Discord, and he says like, "Hey, Pockets, what's up? How's it going? Thank you for the raid. You made 13 people come. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about making 13 people come?" I was going over some stories that I've had from testing. yeah. If they have any questions, I've pretty much gone through my whole list, but I can keep answering questions from what they've done, or for what they have. But yeah, yeah. So basically, I was going over this Overlord 4v15 battle that we had, and Golid messaged me afterwards saying, "GG, well played. We had the numbers," and it's like, yeah, we got absolutely smashed, but I had a lot of fun with that. The one thing I kind of opens umbrella. Oh god. The Underrealm connects the two continents? I don't know. I don't know anything about the Underrealm. I did find a passage to the Underrealm. I found a couple passages to the Underrealm, but they were blocked off in the in the current build that we have. Yeah, I have no idea. If it connects the two continents, that'd be crazy. I wonder if, like, over where the open sea is, if it would be open PvP. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. I remember that was a good stream, by the way. They asked a lot of really good questions. So, man, I think we almost started a server war as well. So we went. So this was during the 3-day test when everybody was doing like the Guild War exploit where they got to like level 27 really fast. And we almost started a server war, and that was a lot of fun. That was so much fun. It actually started with Mayor Firebrand. You might have heard this on Jamie's stream if you were there. But we were like, oh, Firebrand's just sitting in front of Steelbloom Citadel. Like, should we try to kill him? And Planendorf's like, you guys have fun with that. Like, I'm gonna sit back and watch, because in his head, it was gonna be a massive failure, and we were just gonna all constantly die. You heard about your glorious mayor? Yes, it was amazing. And he thought we were all gonna die, so he's like, I like my XP debt, or I like my XP where it's at. I don't want to go in debt with it. And I think I opened up the question with, how much XP debt are you guys willing to go into? And everybody was just like instantly like, what do you mean? And I was like, can we leash Firebrand to Lionhold? And then it ended up turning into like, can we leash him to Winstead, or can we leash him all the way to Miralith? And so that's where that started. And I think it was Jamie. He threw his tomahawk at the dragon, and it was not bugged, because we, in previous tests, like previous spot tests, Firebrand was bugged, or like we could bug him into the terrain. Not this time. This time he was fixed, and we were scared, and we were all running around. And then I was like, "Wait, go to Winstead! Everyone, go to Winstead!" So like it just became like this hectic, like, let's go! And Planendorf's just sitting there laughing, like thinking it's not gonna work. And then we drag him across a server border, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And then we get him across the bridge, and then we just start this train of like us going person to person, dying and grabbing aggro and leashing him all the way to Winstead. And it took like 15-20 minutes to get him there. And by the time like he's there, like we got him to a point where if nobody was aggroed on him, that he would just sit calmly and just chill. Like he's just chilling. He's just like a cat almost. And like we're just like, wait, this is our pet. This is our pet dragon. Let's and then it ended up being like, let's make him our mayor. And so we just put him on the like little at the time it was only an encampment, but there was like a plateau where the encampment sits on Winstead. And so we would just put them, hey, Kumzi, oh my god, Jamie Chaos, he just made 103 people come. That's crazy. Thanks, Jamie. So we got the Pockets raid and we got the Jamie raid. We got so many people coming. Kumzi, thank you for the follow. You are now a Coomer now, I guess. Nash Gaming, thank you for the follow as well. Thank you for coming. Superman, thank you for coming. Yeah, so I was just telling everybody, why am I not following you? I don't know. It happens. Things happen. Thank you, Synderix. Thank you, MF Cracker. Thank you, Nick the Foxable. Deviant. Oh my god, there's so many follows right now. Cbet, everybody, thank you for coming. If I keep reading this off, it's going to be forever. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody's coming. Oh shit. Welcome to the cum zone, I guess. So basically, I have been talking about my NDA experience and all the things that I have. So if you guys still have questions that Jamie hasn't answered yet, I am currently telling them about the Mayor Firebrand story, where we basically dragged Firebrand all the way across the server border, and we got him to a point where he was just kind of like bugged out to where automod allow this. Azri, I love that. So we dragged him to the point where like he just would chill, and there was the encampment on Winstead, and he's just hanging out doing apps. Dude, there's so many of you guys. Thank you so much. There's actually some. Do I turn off the sounds? Because like this is crazy. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. Jamie gonna make me blush. Let's put it that way. You guys are awesome. Oh my god. Thogly! What's up? So I think it started with about 8 of us that were like 8 or 12 of us that were pulling the Firebrand, and he was sitting on top of that little plateau on Winstead, and we had a couple people coming, and they're like, wait, MF Cracker, I think you were there actually. Or was it Mick Stackerson? I think it was Mick Stackerson actually. He just like ran away because we brought Firebrand up on top of the encampment, and he was just chilling, just kind of like doing nothing. We got to the point where like we all died, so we all deleashed. I had like 80,000 XP debt. It was absolutely crazy. I just came as well, yes, Mariah, and we just oh god, I'm gonna dismiss this ad break that's coming in 2 minutes. So hopefully we have a little bit of extended time. And basically he was just chilling, and then like in global chat, I'm just like, nobody touch Mayor Firebrand. If you do, it's kill on sight or something like that. And like an envious member went and attacked the dragon, and then I just went off in global chat, and I was just like, all right, all of envious are on my kill on sight list. I don't give a fuck. You touched my mayor, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then like DA is like, why the hostility? I was like, they touched my mayor. And then he was like, that's our node. And I was like, you're not my mayor, DA. And it was just fucking, it was insane. The amount of like, just because I was doing this in global chat, like there's already people that didn't like some of the envious members. Like I was talking about earlier, how the server social reputation follows you, and that there were some members in envious that were being dicks. And those members made their entire guild become villains, even though there might have been like some envious members that were like cordial and like hanging out and like having a good time and just being nice and stuff like that. The minority of players that were being dicks at the time made them the entire villain of the entire server. And so like I had people joining into our voice chats like, oh, we're fighting envious now, like can we are we starting a guild, are we getting in on this fight? And we're just all like getting in, and I'm like, yeah, sure, this is the thing. So we basically almost, with the Mayor Firebrand thing, almost started an entire server war over this. And I think I almost fucked up, guys. I almost started a war over nothing. So yeah, so like Chibi is the one that healed one of our members, and I thought the heal was the thing that flagged Mayor Firebrand to attack, but it was actually just Lemon. He just jumped in trying to get into our like little picture shot frame with Firebrand, and I thought it was the heal, and that's what sparked me like saying that I was going to kill Envious and stuff in chat, and it was like, it might have been our fault. It might have been our fault, but I went and reviewed. It wasn't. It was Lemon who actually just jumped near the dragon and it aggroed him. But like, it was the weirdest thing. So like, we almost started a war over nothing, and that tells you exactly how Ashes is going to be. Is like, you are going to probably be wrong and cause a lot of drama, and shit might get started over absolutely nothing, and that's going to be the funniest shit ever. It's going to be so much fun. Even with all the bugs, everything's super annoying, but I had a blast. There were a lot of things that were broken. The questing kind of sucks. Yeah, sure. But there are a lot of social dynamics and aspects that happen within the game that makes this game a lot of fun. So even that led to, I think the Mayor Firebrand thing led to us trying to level up Miralith. And then we had about 10 people on Miralith when Clover wanted to test a node war. And so we had a node war between Miralith and Winstead. And Winstead was basically just envious at this time. And we just got our asses handed to us. Like, we got absolutely dicked on. Like, it was crazy. They were spawn camping us. It was like 40v10. I have a clip of me going in like 1 versus 15. It was fantastic. They were all like giga leveled because of the guild exploit. So the guild war exploit where they could like have like level 27s, level 25s, 23s. So like they were all giga leveled, giga geared, and we were just getting our asses handed to us. So like Envious just came back with a fucking out of like nowhere and just like beat us. You want to try to start a religious war? That'd be sick. I'd be down. Which god? Is that the quests that are only partial release? Why are the quests bad? The quests are, they just, the amount of time it takes to do the quests, versus the amount of experience and rewards that you get, that's why they suck. So like, I would rather grind mobs for like hours on end rather than going around doing quests. Like, I mean, I'll pick up like commissions and whatnot, but they're not necessarily, I'm never going out of my way to finish a quest. I'm never going out of my way to finish a commission. Quests currently are for lore, but I imagine the balance of like questing versus like mob grinding and encounter will happen later. So I don't think it's currently set up in the way that it's intended. And I don't want people to, like, even though I say like they suck, I don't want people to think that this is the way it's going to be at launch. Like, again, this is an alpha and stuff like that. But it does suck. There are going to be things that we are going into this alpha and it's like, this is frustrating. This is a pain in the ass. This doesn't work. My character keeps falling through the map. I keep crashing. There's going to be like all these different things. Like, oh, we waited 8 years to play this game. Yeah, there's going to be all these memes of like, oh, the developers didn't do anything. Well, they are. They're doing a ton of work. But I'm going to kind of put my blinders on for a lot of this stuff, and it's just going to be whatever, dude. Like, I don't really care. There's going to be people that are memeing it. I'm having fun. I'm going to care about how I'm enjoying the game, how I'm playing it, what I can do to improve it, and reporting bugs and stuff on stream, and it'll be fun for me. I don't really care how other people view it. I'm going to be pretty authentic with how I view the game and how I want to approach like moving forward. But I'm telling you guys, I've never played an alpha, and this might have been like maybe my first alpha. I've played betas, but this might be my first alpha, and I had so much fun. The game is a lot of fun, even right now. There's an ad coming in like 20 seconds. So if you guys stick around, I'm gonna kind of like talk about like random stuff. I'm not gonna really hit on much of the NDA stuff until that ad happens. And it's done. So when we come back from ad break, feel free to just load up my chat with questions. Oh, thank you. By the way, thank you guys, everyone, for coming in, following. Like I have so many followers. I can't even count how many followers. Thank you for the raids for Jamie and Pockets. Like you guys are awesome. I was hanging out in Thogley's chat last night and had like long conversations with him. I think we raided over to Turgo, and that was a lot of fun. Turgo's going to be joining Nexus, and he's going to be having a lot of fun. He's a great streamer to watch too. Is dual wielding mice and clicking viable like how Jamie is doing? Is he actually dual wielding mice, or is he only playing with one hand? I think he's just playing with one hand and just like constantly, you know, having fun playing with himself while playing with his MMO mouse. By the way, I hate MMO mice. MMO mice I cannot do. I have my Logitech with my 2 buttons. Ugh. On the side there. I got 2 buttons on this side. That's it. That's all I need. I got my mouse wheel, got my right, my left. That's it. And I got shift and control. Yeah. Some of my guildies are elves, though. I think they are wood elves, the Pyre. I don't know why they would care about my vendetta with high elves. Dual daggers is not in Pockets, but I have seen the daggers in game, and that's because somebody kind of hacked into their .ini file and spawned some daggers along with some character models 2 nights ago. And so I got to play with them. I got to play with my dual daggers. And one didn't even have stats. The offhands didn't even have stats. I missed more if I think that's funny. Oh, God. Oh, I have the G903. I think the 903 is my favorite. I like the 502, but the 502, like, it fits perfectly in my hand, but it's not. I don't know. I like the way this looks and feels. If only the back end of the 903 was a bit smaller, because I got small hands. Small hands. If it was a little bit smaller, I would love the 903 even more. But this is like perfect for me. Yeah, so I did actually get to use the daggers. The attacks are really fast. The stats on the daggers that I had were really shitty because they were hacked into the game, basically. And the offhand didn't even have stats, so it just said placeholder for assassin type or something like that. I don't remember. so I think they said assassin, but they probably meant rogue. For the offhand dual daggers or whatever. You got small hands. But yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah. So I have another story. So another story that I had was we were just grouped up and we were just doing like PvE grinding, trying to hit like events, trying to hit different dungeons and different POIs with like Jamie, Richie, Roar, me. I think Annie was in there, Nuclear. I think we had like maybe like 2 other people, possibly. Cbit might have been there. And somebody else, I think. And we were just going around, and the funny shit that you see, like the player experiences that happen in this game, happen so frequently, and it's amazing. We were going around, and Richie was pulling stuff, and Jamie's like, I don't have any mana. If you pull something else, I will literally drop party and kill you. And Richie pulled another mob, and they just instantly, both of them dropped party and just started dueling each other. It was the funniest thing to do. Like right there on the spot, just drop out of the party and just start dueling. Like this is the stuff that I'm loving, and I want to like just like it's gonna be great for people to see. It's gonna be great for people to do. Great for people to experience. Like this shit is so fun. Like the game can be in as shit of a spot as it needs to be, as it wants to be, or can be, or I don't know what I'm trying to say here. The game can be in a shit state, and we can still have fun within the game. I think we can make our own content. I think there's going to be a lot of ways for, especially like D&D players, to like go into the game with their characters, do like their own little role play and stuff. Like the reason why I think Grey Sentinels and stuff will be great is because I think Ashes of Creation is going to allow for a lot of your own player made content, your own player made experiences, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun that way. If you pull too much, we're throwing hands. See, I was having this conversation in Grey Sentinel's Discord. I never have a problem with tanks pulling too much. The only, like, if we wipe, it's like, fuck, all right, we wiped. Like, let's reset. But like, if you don't pull enough, I'm pissed. I'm like, bro, I am so bored. Pull more. Pull more. I don't care if we wipe, pull more. And if the healer can't handle it, it's like, okay, now we know our limit. We know our healer's mana limit, or we know like what, like we can fix something else. But I'm never mad at a tank for over pulling. I'm only mad at them for under pulling. And that may be coming from a DPS perspective, but you who role plays, don't you, motherfucker? No, I'm just kidding. What race? I'm playing human. I'm boring old human. Casual RP. Yeah, I think Ashes of Creation will also have its own way to do casual RP, because so much of the world just allows for RP. Like, you can just be in the world talking to somebody, giving them a heal as like a ment or something as cleric, and interact that way for like casual RP. I think war, like guild wars, node wars, caravan fights, that's just natural RP. Like, you are just actually in there RPing as a soldier, as a warrior, like giving communication. So like I think that's already just RP in itself. I can't imagine, there's so many pirate guilds. I've seen like 3 pirate guilds. I can't wait to see them on the ocean acting as pirates. That'd be great. That'd be hilarious. Another lack imagination. Maybe I'm just narcissistic and I like to play as myself in games, you know? Maybe that's just how it is. Maybe I just love myself so much. I have so much self-love that I'm great, you know? Like, the healer is out of mana. Lloyd, stop pulling. Drops group instantly. Don't get mad. There's a PvP happening in the chat. I love it. I love it. I love it. Something I'm really excited to see are taverns. I have self-love every night. Shit. How you know? How you know though? Yeah. True. I'm really excited to see like taverns though, and freeholds. I know that's not until later, but man, I can't wait, because we see like a lot of open space in the alpha, and we have heard of things like baronies. We've heard of things like freeholds, and instanced housing and stuff like that, or like just in node housing and in node taverns. Like, I can't wait until we experience that stuff. That stuff is going to be a lot of fun. Like, the node becoming a social hub is going to be amazing. There were no fog of war on the maps, but I think I would like it. I think that would be cool, but that's one of those things where like I could say that's cool, but then we get in game and it sucks. And like, I'm not sure how I actually feel about it. But yeah, I think fog of war would be cool. Maybe, perhaps. I'd love to try it. I'd love to test it. Say that to my face, in ashes, in game. I will kill you in game. At least dwarves are. Wait, are there no dwarves in Tamriel? Oh yeah, that's right. They just have. They just have like that ancient technology, right? That was like the dwarven thing for ESO. Yeah, they poofed. I thought. Okay. Yeah, man, that sucks. And Thogly's played a lot of Skyrim. I heard him talking about it last night. Dunmer? Yeah, that's true. Dwemen? Dweemers? Dweebers? Oh, is that where dweeb came from? The term dweeb? Am I going to have my main character and my alt griefing, or my griefing alt for day one to kill the level 1 characters? I'm not going to be griefing. I'm not going to be griefing anybody. I think it'd be stupid. Like even have like an alt to grief, I still think would be stupid. Yeah. Like corruption's rough, buddy. Corruption is not very fun. And if anybody ever found out my grief alt, then that I'm fucked for the rest of my life, you know? It's just gonna be stuck. It's one of those things that like your social reputation is like actually important. So, and I do think people will not have a great time with their alts being found out and the consequences that may happen afterwards. People get creative in these games. I mean, let's not even talk about the Archetypes guy, you know? Like that, we know exactly what happened there. That people go crazy. Llewd Lewis. Hope you like swimming. Just don't show your login loading screen. Yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see like how streamers actually interact with Ashes of Creation. I don't think I have any issues with anything that's being shown. I may mute Discord, like if I'm like in guild chats and stuff like that. Like, but that may be the extent of it. Like, I don't think there's any problem with like showing where I am on screen. Like, if people come to gank me and they go corrupt over it, like go for it, buddy. Like I don't care. Uh, like fighting people in the world generally doesn't happen in Ashes of Creation, I think. Um, if you don't know about the Archetypes guy that went down to Florida with I think it was a hammer. I think that's enough context for you to Google and find the right thing. You might want to stay away from Come At Me Richie. Dude, Richie is so much fun to play with. Richie is so much fun to play with. Like, part of me is like, I want to play like Richie does, where we like attack people in the open world and we fight over the things. Arthas, thank you for coming. I like to think like I want to fight over like my little spot and just push people off and get people to fight me back. But my guild has certain things where that's not allowed, where I need to be the good guy and not the bad guy. But there is some exceptions to that rule where, hey, if that's a really good grind spot and we need it and we're as a guild, we might kick you off that grind spot. You know, like we're not going to go red for it, but we will push you off type of thing. That's kind of like our demeanor. That's kind of like our code of honor, I guess. If it's for the betterment of us, and if we get strong for the betterment of the realm, so that we can make the realm stronger and make our crafters craft the best shit, then that's the goal. Like, right? So we may not be friends for everybody, but we'll be at least doing things for what we consider to be the greater good. And I think I like that playstyle. I like that kind of like perspective. And so I'm hoping that we're not as pushover as some people might think we are. You know, us dwarves are going to craft the best. Well, then maybe we have the best trade with you, and you can make me a lot of money by me giving you the best shit, so that you can either make me the best shit or you can give me the most money. You know. So I think that's the goal. if you get somebody low while flagged and the mob finishes them off, do you go red? I don't think currently, no. I think currently if the mob kills you after being purple, you just are purple. Or if the mob kills like somebody else, they go purple. Or you stay purple even if they're green. Oh my god. Colors and stuff are weird. Sorry. I got this. I can talk. Words are hard, right? But I mean, that's how it worked in Tibia. So like in Tibia, there would be like, you would be out like mob grinding, like in like the Cyclops Mountain, and like people would use like energy walls or something like that, or firewalls to stop you from, you know, being moved out, and they would trap you in a choke point, and like you wouldn't be able to kite the Cyclops anymore, and you would die to the Cyclops, and then they would take your shit. Like that's a strategy in Tibia. I imagine it's going to be a strategy in Ashes of Creation as well. I think there are ways to get around the corruption system and doing things like that. And I think it's going to be prevalent. I think that is going to, yeah, I think last hit is corruption. I also think that the corruption in its current state is not how it should be. Many of you are from like Jamie's stream. You've probably heard this conversation. I have a video on it. Go ahead, watch the video if you haven't. It's the corruption needs some improvement video that I have. But I don't really feel like reiterating it in all of its points here. But yeah. I think breaking the crap out of corruption is a really good idea. The better corruption is, or the more it's broken now, the better it will be at launch. And I think that's true for all of the systems. I think that's really, really important. Like the red versus yellow. I mean, kind of. Yellow is more. How do I say this? I'm gonna really make this fast. Or I might be able to do this in a different way. Hold on. I might be able to do this a different way. I'm gonna turn into pirate software here for a second. Okay, so we go to, I think it's home. And I'm gonna make chat here. And make sure my webcam comes on. I know you guys can't see it yet. 1 second. This one, okay. Okay, so transition. Okay. So there's lots of different ways to kill. I need to catch up on chat real quick. Yep, right now it's my opinion that corruption is focused too much on PKing in general instead of specifically griefing via PKs. Sent you a link of what I asked about the daggers. Isn't from that long ago. There's a lot of different ways to kill a player without being the last one to hit them. Yeah, exactly. You should be able to run, just run unless you are slowed when attacked. The problem with that antagonist is that everybody's movement speed is pretty much the same unless your archetype dictates differently. I think the archetype being the major issue on like if you can actually get away by CC or movement speed is a problem. If you have so many mobility abilities, I think that comes with a lot of different issues when it comes to corruption and like movement abilities of just running away, quote unquote. I don't think it's always perfect. If I have to go red because somebody wants to steal my resource node, I want to be able to fight it without snowballing if they attack me. I agree. You don't get CC'd when you're green. True, currently that is true. I think there should be legal mobs such as narcotic demon artifacts and selling demonic gear that has increased stats but corrupts you. That'd be interesting. That would be pretty, like having cursed weapons in Ashes of Creation would be pretty sick. Also, we need to confirm if killing a player with gravity will count against you. With gravity, you mean like pushing them off an edge? I think if if they have like a disruption ability of some sort, it should still flag you if you're flagged, and if you're not flagged, it shouldn't affect the player or or affect you unless you're a combatant. Yeah, like some of these archetypes will just be able to chase others down. So I don't think just being able to run away. I think that's kind of like a Keck kind of response. But yeah, let me do this. Let me change brush size. How big is this? Boom. Okay, that's pretty big. That's what she said. So if you are red and you attack, probably need to turn down my sense on my mouse. I have it at 10,000 DPI. Probably doesn't need to be that high when I'm drawing stuff. And you attack a green, right? That's kind of, you kind of stay this way, right? But if this green were to, say, attack back, then the green now turns yellow, right? And then this guy over here is red. But everybody else sees this guy as green, right? So the world still sees him as green, which is good. That's good. Good and dandy. He is not being bothered. That is exactly how everything should be. That's kind of like my perspective on it. So this green person over here looks at this situation. He goes, so he has like this peripheral, like, that was shit. So he still sees this guy as green, and he still sees this guy as red, right? Yeah, still in the corruption talk, but like people were asking about like what I was talking about. So like now like a mob can kill this guy, and this guy gains no more corruption. Like he stays, say he was at plus 25 corruption. He's still on plus 25 corruption if a mob like this guy were to attack him and kill him. But if like he were to finish him off, like if he were to kill him, then he's at like plus 50 corruption. You know, like that's kind of like how it currently works. And I just want the yellow to be like as a visual indicator that, hey, that guy's attacking you, type of thing. That was the whole conversation. And there's a lot of nuance and stuff that happens with that, but yeah. I'm down. I'm chilling. I didn't want to go too deep into it, but somebody was confused on what I was talking about, so that's kind of all I wanted to do to kind of explain that. Oh, you talked about it on your stream. Yeah, the whole CC thing, I agree with you, Pockets. Like I think we were going towards like the same direction on like what we wanted out of the system, but there was like some minute differences. So yeah. Let's see. I had a couple more stories from NDA stuff. If you guys have any NDA questions that haven't been answered yet, feel free to ask. I will be available to answer those. Yeah, exactly. Dolem. Basically, my thought is, if you are making the intention to attack somebody, you have to flag up, and you have to go in with that intention of knowing that you are the aggressor. And even as an attacker, or even as a corrupted player, you should still have the right to defend yourself with against people that are attacking you without the risk of gaining more corruption. I think that was kind of the summary that Quirion and I had during the debate. But I mean, Thugly, if he's still here, he can attest to this. 2 nights ago was so much fun. I had so much fun in Linehold. Basically, so we've talked about like safe zones and like protection zones on like with like Vladis, and I do think safe zones and protection zones are necessary for Ashes of Creation. I think they should be placed in like temples. I think they should be placed in like certain buildings, like bank buildings, storage warehouse buildings, etc. But outside of that, I really like the idea that most of the world is open world PvP. And one of those examples is we were in Lionhold and we were dueling each other, and we just had like a bunch of people dueling right there in the middle of the street. Like there's like a little alleyway that we could go in and it was just like a 1v1 battle, and we had like a couple people crowd around and watch the duels, and it was really awesome. And like spawn points would be another version of like safe zones and stuff like that. But like my point is, I don't want safe zones to cover the entire node, because these interactions don't happen. Like these duels between like purple versus purple player that like happen in town, they wouldn't happen anymore. And I think that's getting rid of something fun in the game. And I think there are places for safe zones and there are places not for safe zones. And I don't think that just having the entire node be a safe zone is a good idea. That's kind of my opinion. The one funny thing that came out of that though is like we had a couple level 1 players that came by, and I was flagged up doing a duel, and one walked into my he walked into my AoE and I one-shot him, and I became instantly corrupt, hit level 3 corruption off rip, and the guards just came and like pounded my asshole. I respawned, and the respawn was inside the node. It was inside Lionhold, so I just kept on getting ganked, and I lost like 3 or 4 items just from this one little interaction. So the corruption system can be abused in its current state. It definitely can. Like you can literally go into a node war, or maybe not a node war, possibly. Like maybe a guild war or something like that on a level 1 alt, and just run in there, and AoEs will kill you because other people are flagged up. And that could be an issue with the corruption system. That could be something that people abuse. So there are these like little interactions that we can do and physically test that can say, is this a risk we want to keep in the game? So people can use the corruption system as a way to gain an advantage by logging on an alt that's level 1 and destroying somebody's corruption level. So, and making sure that you are guaranteed to give certain stats or whatever. Like if you're like a level 3 mage and you take blink and you just blink into somebody's AoE, like, well, shit, that guy's corrupted now. Like, like you could be non-flagged and green and just run into somebody's AoE, and it could be a thing that just like sparks corruption. So currently there is not a toggle for not attacking a green by mistake, but I believe that is an option in Tibia where you can like flag or not flag, but or you can have like safe flag, where like the safe flag is you only hit people with your that are combatants, basically. So like I think there is a version of that in Tibia. I don't think there's a version of that in Ashes yet. So I think there are ways that you can design around it, but these are things that aren't implemented that our feedback actually can help the devs create a better game, right? So like you say that, like you see that, and you see the level 1 go in there and just tank a AoE and fuck up somebody's corruption, and you'd be like, that's dog shit, that sucks. And then that gives the developers like a way to be like, yo, we should probably fix that. That's probably not a good thing, you know? And I've had those conversations with devs and stuff like that, where I can literally go and talk to them and just be like, hey, I don't like this because of this, and this is a really bad interaction. They go, oh shit, you're right. We should fix that. Like, they are very, very human. I keep saying this. They are extremely human. And you can just do that to like pretty much any community dev, any mod. They'll be able to like continue your message out. I don't think it's because I like any sort of content creator privilege or anything like that. I know content creators are the ones saying this stuff, but I don't think that we have it like any form of privilege. We're too small of a community for that to be a thing, basically. Steven said there would be different toggles, so maybe just not active yet. Probably. It should never be active on the first kill, just supposed to make you think before you do so. What do you mean, like corruption? What if I want to be a tank and also be a healer for my guild? You can't do that until secondary archetypes are available, which won't be there. Oh, you're saying that's why alts shouldn't be allowed on the same server? Oh, yeah, no. I don't think... I mean, like, people want alts, right? Like, people want to play different archetypes and they'll want to do different stuff. So by not allowing alts on the same server, locks out a lot of things. But there are a lot of valid points to not having an alt on the same server. That's where things were like, node account locks are happening, like freehold locks are account bound. There are things that are character bound, there are things that are account bound. I think that's where that stuff kind of comes in. Those types of arguments happen. Multi-boxing is one of the things that killed Arcage. Multi-boxing and RMTing, I think, can be relatively managed by just active GMs, which Intrepid plan to have. I think it's pretty obvious, like, us as players can figure that out. We can figure those things, and as long as there's active GMs, we can report that. GM can come into the world and just smite them from the world or whatever. One thing I've been trying to get answers to forever is about being able to make 40 level 1 characters and specifically going to enemy node. Well, you can't really make 40 level 1 characters. Not really. Simply because you only have so many character slots per realm. So I doubt that'll be a thing. But if you have like a bunch of people doing it, that's possible. It is a possible thing that could be a concern. I think it's valuable feedback to give to the devs to find out their way. They're generally pretty... They're pretty open to feedback like that, into like figuring out their own way of dealing with it. There's not a one size fits all type of fix, and it may cut out some things that they want to do. So I couldn't say anything like on a way to actually fix it, but if you have a problem with that, reaching out to the community team as a feedback, like, because a lot of that stuff is like, what is the actual risk versus impact of that happening? Like, how likely is it going to be that that's the reason that it fucks over a node? Is that going to be a meta thing? If so, there's probably a way to do that. There's probably like an exploit thing where they can ban accounts. There's a lot of different ways to police it, but maybe designing a way around it is a possible thing too. Couples can't play. Couples should be able to play, but you shouldn't be account sharing anyways. Account sharing is usually against TOS for almost all games. It'd be as a guild, yeah. I could see it being an issue. But I think there's ways to police it. I think there's probably ways to design around it that's not just limiting players to one character per realm. Yeah. And Steven has made his stance pretty clear. He said basically, as long you can have multiple accounts, you can have multiple characters on the same realm, you can have doing all that. But if there is a macro or some sort of script that is running them all at the same time, then that is against TOS and you will be banned for it. So as long as GMs are out there, you will get banned for multi-boxing. You will get banned for doing those types of things. So don't do that. But unless you're playing, if you're physically playing on 4 accounts all at the same time, and you are swapping in between screens like a fucking madman and playing on all 4 of them, that's allowed. Is the combat pretty hard? So isn't multi-boxing going to be harder this game? I think there's probably a way to Zerg ball things. And if you're multi-boxing, you might have the tools to Zerg ball your way through some things in its current state. I don't think it's impenetrable. Combat is pretty difficult, but I don't think it's impenetrable to do that. You account share on every game you play? Well, good luck. You aren't supposed to. I know there was a huge drama thing about like on Tibia with people account sharing, and it turned into a huge mess, by the way. So hey, yeah, good luck is all I can say. You aren't supposed to risk PvP on a person who isn't fighting back, but yes, it allows threat, but it's important to remember as the corrupted player, you have stolen agency from another player for whatever reason. True. Like, yeah, I guess. Stealing agency from another player isn't really happened by... How do I word this? If you can fight back, if you have counterplay, you're not taking somebody's agency away from them. If you are able to do PVX, you're not taking their agency away. If you are tactically being green so that they go corrupt, that is a form of counterplay. Like, sometimes inaction is a form of action, and inaction could be the form of counterplay that happens. That would be something that I could say about that. Are people that hungry for a win? Losses are what makes wins feel that... Yeah, exactly. I talked about not allowing multiple player characters on one IP. So a couple has 2 computers on the same IP. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, the IP thing is difficult discussion because there are people that play in the same house. That was the Tibia multi-boxing thing, or like account sharing thing, is that they would have like their little brother or like their mom playing on the account in the same household, but because they were doing that, they still got banned, and that became a really bad thing. So even sharing the IP in the same household became an issue in Tibia, and it sparked a huge like internet debate on like, what if my brother is playing? What if my mom's playing on the same IP and we're on 2 different accounts? Do we both get banned? And like, yeah, I can see that being an issue, and that's why it's really hard to determine that. But there's also things that you can do to avoid that, like VPNs. You can use VPNs to get around it. So it's not super cut and dry on a lot of that stuff. So is spawning daggers true? Playing with your hands and feet on 4 accounts. I believe killing a non-combatant who isn't fighting back should grant corruption. I just don't think the first few kills within a reasonable time span should be the sentence the corrupted player to death. Well, Steven's even said, like, to make sure this is very, very clear, Steven has said that killing one person is not griefing. The repetitive actions and constant taking away of player agency is griefing and can be a bannable or suspendable offense. You know, like if you are a permanent griefer and you are brought to a GM's attention and your account is flagged for whatever reason, if you continue griefing, it is a bannable offense. So I did play old school Tibia. That's the I love 7.6. I think that was probably my favorite. 8.6 was another good one. How's the skill level right now, or is it mainly just stat checks? It's a little bit of both. I think the archetype kits are they have the ability to have some skill expression, and I think that's going to make the PvP tournament a lot of fun. But there's going to be a version of the PvP where it is just stat sticking. It is just archetype diff. Like there's going to be these things that happen. Like I was telling earlier in the stream that I was fighting Nuclear Tango as a ranger and he was a cleric. We had about equivalent gear, I would say. And I was level 12, he was level 13. And I had previously killed like a level 15 by myself. It was like a level 15 fighter as a ranger. And so like the level disparity isn't a big deal, but the archetype deal was really huge. I hit Nuclear for about 3 to 5 minutes of just doing my rotations over and over and over again, and he never fell below 75% HP as a cleric. So I think some of it is definitely archetype diff. So unless there's like CC that stops the cleric from healing, they can pretty much out heal any ranger. And he didn't attack me at all. Like I was just straight firing on him the whole time, just doing my rotation. We didn't move from our spots. We just did what we needed to do. So like that's the level of rock paper scissors that we're kind of at the moment. Mana management is rough. You need a cleric, you need a bard. For blessed weapon and resonant weapon, really, really good. Jamie and his wife play from the same IP. True. Why shouldn't you die? You choose to kill those players who had no interest in fighting without the other players losing a lot. VPN's IP ranges are known, pretty sure. Well, public ones. How do I feel about fall damage? Fall damage feels about right now. You can kind of exploit it with rolling. You can dodge roll out of a big fall and not take any damage. So if you are not paying attention and you run off a cliff, bad news for you. But if you are, you can probably dodge roll out of pretty much anything. You got 3 minutes of ads? That's crazy. They're set for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And so basically how Twitch works is I either have to have pre-roll ads or I have to have 3 minutes of ads per hour. So you're either getting 30 seconds of ads like 6 times per hour, or you're getting 1 minute and 30 seconds ads 2 times per hour, or 3 minutes of ads 1 time per hour. It's really shitty. I wish I could get rid of ads. It is literally not my option. And pre-roll ads for newer streamers kind of sucks because there's no discoverability. Like, so I have to run ads. It's really shitty. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I apologize. You planning on sailing the seas? Absolutely. Absolutely. I plan to explore everything of the world. I'd love to get in a fight with the Kraken. Yeah. So, griefing is the GM's realm, not ours. There are going to be a lot of whiny bitches, and they're going to complain about everything, and not everything's going to be griefing. You get killed once. If you get killed fighting over a mob grind spot, if you get killed accidentally, like that happens. Like, whoops, sorry, but like not everything is griefing. You just dying randomly isn't griefing. Somebody going corrupt over you like a couple of times, or just because they don't like you, not griefing. Like, and also the game doesn't stop griefing. I said this in my most recent video. It's like the game does not stop you from griefing. Like, griefing is in the game. You are going to have to deal with it. But the extreme versions of griefing will exist, and those are bannable offenses, right? Like, those are like suspendable offenses. But until you get to that like extreme portion, nobody really cares. Like Crimea River type of thing. And that's what I mean by like Ashes of Creation may not be for everybody. Like, there is going to be a lot of people upset about these things. There's going to be a lot of issues with bad actors, and not all of it's going to be policed perfectly. Get good, I guess. I don't know. Like, the corruption system is supposed to be there to be an anti-grief mechanic. I think it'll help with a lot of anti-griefing. I don't think it's the end all be all. I really don't. And I think you're going to be upset and you're going to be crying on Reddit and it's going to be funny. Yeah, it's meant to deal with PK griefing. Like, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. 90 to 95% of my gaming time, I spent PvE. I've waved at hundreds of players coming by me. I've spent most of my time just grinding. I've been invited into parties. Almost none of my time was getting PK'd. And the times that I was fighting in the open world, it was consensual PvP. So like, I think most, if not all, of the PvP that you encounter is going to be consensual. And if it's not consensual, then you are either in the wrong spot at the wrong time, that guy's an asshole, or that guy's griefing you. Like there's multiple options for why that happens. What Tibia server did I play? I think I was on Solera for a very long time. I wanted to go on Antica, but I think that server was full at the time when I was playing. It was like that was like server 1. But I was basically on one of the other servers that was like West Coast or something like that for NA. I don't really remember. I think it was Solera. I could be wrong. It doesn't exist anymore. I do remember checking that out. It's not Age of Conan where you can stay on the level 1 beach with your level 30 character griefing them. It is actually. It is like that. You could be level 30 and go into Linehold and just start griefing them, but you will get killed by guards. You will get immense amounts of corruption. You will lose items for dying to the guards. You will not be able to enter nodes. So like that there are anti-grief mechanics after you grief. So these things will fuck your character. Also, the PK value that happens in the background is another thing that people talk about. They're either bored, feel you wrong them, they're an asshole, or something like that. True. Yeah, no. If you're fighting over a resource node or like somebody's like mining something and you go to try to kill them, it's because you want that resource node. And if they want to fight you back, that's fine. Otherwise, they leave you alone and then you mine the node. Or you like gather the flowers. You imagine killing somebody for picking flowers, by the way. Like that could be a thing in Ashes of Creation. Like, I've been searching everywhere for fucking snowdrop and daffodils and get off my fucking flowers, and you go attack them. Like, that's a possibility. So like there could be like rare material drops that you fight over randomly. Split or you perish. Split or I will split it for us. Like, I really do think people will fight over flowers, and I think that's the funniest thing. I think that's so fucking funny. Just don't jump in the air like Jamie. Jamie's learned his lesson. Oh, I did PK for granite actually. And I picked up the granite and it didn't fucking count towards the quest. I was pissed. I got fucking corruption and no quest like corruption or no quest objective. I was so mad. That I was down bad for granite, guys. Everybody, it was like 16 hours before I got my first mount. I was so down bad for granite. And you have to harvest it. You can't just pick it up off somebody. What's the benefit of going red besides the fun in it? There's no benefit of going red. There's literally none. You are just absolutely fucked. So it is just the fun of it. And I think corrupted players, I mean, like I said really early in the development, I think this was like 2020, 2021, maybe, that I would like a node for corrupted players to be in, like a bandit node, like a highwayman hill node type of thing, where regular mobs find you as friendly. I can understand why that's not a thing. I can understand why Steven and gang don't want that. Same thing with like joining that node and becoming part of the corrupted and like following the others. Like, I thought that would be a cool aspect. Maybe that's something that happens in expansions, but definitely not something that they plan to do near future. Definitely not something that they plan to do anytime soon. And from what I can tell, Steven is primarily against something like that existing in the world as well. That's been asked a few times. So I think the reason is because it's a game and they don't want people to be dicks. And people would be dicks just to join that node. They would literally be ruining other people's experiences just to be a part of that node, which isn't good design, right? So like, I can see why. Let's see how we can abuse the Guild War system. It's been done quite a few times. I think it's been pretty much fixed to the point where there's not real bonus for the Guild War system as of yet because we've abused it so much. That was what Steven was saying in his interview with Theory Forge, is that there are a lot of discussions around like how to make it beneficial for Guild Wars. And honestly, I don't think you need to have a benefit for Guild Wars. There was so many Guild Wars in Tibia just because they wanted to fight and they like hated each other. So I honestly don't think there needs to be an incentive for Guild Wars to occur. I think it is just a way to resolve player conflict and to have bragging rights, which will allow them to, you know, say, hey, we did it. We did the thing. Yeah, you actively hurt your own node by killing your own citizens. So, if you're an enemy in your own node, it's social reputation, guys. It matters. Everybody needs to remember social reputation matters in this game. You will be labeled as a dick. People will not like you. People will move nodes to kill you. I've done it. I've seen it happen. They don't even have to move that far. They can literally move over to a node that's not vassaled, and they can go in and start fighting you. Like, it's not that difficult. At the moment, there will be like some sort of refugee system that you can't just like swap nodes willy-nilly, but like right now you can just swap nodes to whatever you want. So, and there's also a lot of there is a declare cost that does matter. It was pretty expensive. I think it's really expensive to start a node war, but I also don't think I think nodes have their own like nodes, like they have their own currency, and so like maybe the node scroll isn't that difficult, but it will fuck with your node's currency as a mayor. Have a good night, dude. I'm actually going to be heading out here shortly, but if you guys have any questions about the NDA stuff, I'm feel. Oh, one thing I do want to say, flopping on mounts, devs, please let the world see flopping on mounts by October 25th. Please do not fix that bug. I need everybody to see my horse flopping on the ground like a fish. It is a necessary thing. Hey, sorry. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Oh man, but yeah, long time coming. So many times, dude. I feel like you guys are probably bombarded with like what is in the game currently, and you guys are probably already like newsed out and stuff. And I've hit all of my talking points this stream, so go ahead, feel free to ask any questions. I'll give you guys about like a couple minutes here, and then I got to get something to eat. I got to create a couple videos. I got to finish up on my mayor stuff. I got to finish up on my NDA video, and then I got to post that because shit is getting crazy right now in the Ashes community, and I have been a lazy content creator this past month. So, what is the reason to start a node war with the other node? Territory. You will get like expanded XP in your node of influence once you do like the territory wars. You can also do like get like experience from killing other players in another node. You can do it just because you want to expand your node in that direction and you don't want that node in your way. There's a lot of different reasons why you might want to start a node war. Primarily, it'll be macro game. Ashes of Creation will have a lot of macro involved with how you want to interact with the world. Like I'll mention this in my mayor video, but you'll want to like talk with other mayors of other nodes, like what buildings are you building? What type of things should I build for my node, and will it interact with yours? And if everybody around you is building a smithy, either you're going to go to war with them or you're going to change your direction on like what type of artisanship that you'll want to build inside of your node. Is there a node growth limit? Yeah, I mean, like it's a plug. So you'll see in game that there's like a little, like there's a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer square that the node can grow out to. And they'll have like level 1 through 6, which is like anywhere from Crossroads to Metropolis. And it will eventually grow out into that 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer square, which is quite large, I'm not gonna lie. And that's kind of like the node's limit of growth. But like that's not counting like the node's zone of influence. It's not counting the vassal nodes. It's not counting a lot of things. The baronies, freeholds within that area. So like there's going to be a lot of room around outside of that 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer square that you can interact and do different things for your node. Yeah, exactly. What's skill rotation uptime like? You're going to find a lot of downtime in your rotation. And I think weapon attacks are vital for skill rotations. You are going to have to really think about, do I keep auto attacking here? Do I just use my rotation on cooldown? Do I have a spammable ability? Is there something I can do during my downtime that's not weapon attacks to help the utility of the situation? That's not my burst DPS. Do I use my burst DPS now, or do I wait on my DPS and just use weapon attacks until like it's a better timing? For example, like the ranger needs the target to be below 50% HP for maximum damage output. If you're going to get that target down to 50% HP before your burst rotation comes up, maybe you just hold off on your burst rotation then. Like there's those types of like little mind games within combat. So it's not just like you just constantly uptime your rotation. I think that's currently where we're at. We're also very low level and we don't have that many abilities. So yeah, the abilities will not always be enough for some of these mobs, especially mob HP is really, really high. Can ZOIs overlap? No, they cannot, which is why you would fight over them. You'd want to either destroy like a lower level node the next to you so that you can grow yours, or you would want to like do something else, or you'd like maybe expand in a different direction because that other node is too strong. And so like in order to expand your node's zone of influence, you need to go somewhere else. So that could be an option. Yeah, so like another thing with like Boner said is Jamie was mentioning trip and then another party member using a skill to add on to the trip. So yeah, like if you're a fighter, you'll whirlwind somebody so that your tank can trip them, and then your main or your maim ability, which is like that berserker ability from Lost Ark, where you just like spin around in a circle and slam down onto the ground. That will do like 300% bonus damage. So like you do synergize certain abilities and certain rotations with other classes and stuff like that. So sometimes, and like rangers can like stack their marks on a target. So you can have like increased physical penetration and increased physical damage. And like, you can even have like double penetration or double increased, critical chance so that you crit more. Like there's these different interactions that you can do with other classes, even with like some of the same classes. All right, have a good night, Pockets. You need to change from range to melee when the enemy comes in close. You don't need to. It's not necessary. Like you can, like if your attacks are better as a ranged weapon because they're faster attack speed and they get off more procs and they're single target, then yeah, you're fine using your bow at like 1 meter distance. But like if there's multiple targets, the cleave from the melee weapon is really helpful. So like you'll often pull like 2 or 3 mobs with your bow and then swap to your melee weapon and cleave them down. Like that's another option that you can do. Rangers got that sweet silence. Do they? I haven't used an ability with a silence yet. I don't remember what ability that is. Is that like Raining Death or something? That might be a tier 3 ability that I haven't had. Thundering Shot? Oh, that's a silence? Holy shit. Okay, well, today I learned. I've been silencing people without noticing it. I've just been using that in my burst rotation. So I still have things to learn. Even. Which is nice. Even after all my hours in the game. I'm still learning stuff about it every day. So, a lot of fun. Yeah. The upgrade is sick. It also adds like the 10 shocked so that you're like each proc does like 10% damage or like 10 more damage or something like that. So like using barrage with the lightning or the thundering shot is really good. So yeah. Any other questions? I'm gonna look for somebody to raid until then. But let me check the ashes category here. Got Fireplay, we got Droog. Oh, we got Droog. I haven't looked at Droog's stuff in a long time. Let's go raid him. Just a few more sleeps, indeed. What's active blocking like? Ooh, I currently don't like active blocking. It's not directional. They've improved it by making it a held ability. Jamie was talking about that. But I think it should be directional because the counterplay just doesn't really exist right now. And I think I think it definitely needs improvement with ways that you can probably like parry maybe would be something good. I don't think there's like a real stamina block. There might be. I haven't played tank much. So mostly ranged DPS classes for me. But so far I have pretty much unbinded block from my ability list. Yeah. So I haven't even used it at all. My favorite foods, I think in game, fresh salad is good. Gives good physical power penetration, I think. Or just physical damage increase, something like that. Rations will help you recover. Out of character? Waffles. I haven't had waffles in a long time. Waffles, corn dogs, hot dogs. Probably won't ever eat any of those things on stream because memes are funny. Let's see. I mean, waffles I might. Waffles I might eat on stream. Waffle House, true. We've got a really good I don't know if it's called Waffle House. I forget what it's called. I don't know, but there's like a Bloody Mary bar here in Vegas, and it fucking chicken and waffles. It's so good. Wasn't as lewd of an answer as you'd expect. With food? Bro, I can't even think of a food that I would like that would be lewd. Mana Steel thing? Mana Steel is not a thing that I'm aware of. I do know in a lot of games, mana stealing is very broken, right? So like, it is very game changing to have that as an ability. Cream puffs? Oh yeah, cream puffs. Just like What's his name? Fuck. What's the anime? Mashal. Mashal. Where he's eating all the cream puffs. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Mac and cheese is good. Mac and cheese is bomb. Love me some Kraft. Probably gonna get cancer from the amount of Kraft cheese I've eaten. Mana burn is also interesting. I really don't like the mana stealing abilities just because they are very, very broken in PvP. And also very useless in PvE. So mana steal, mana burn is usually pretty bad. Just for overall game balance. Yeah, dude, I love anime. That's where the Llewd comes from, is the anime stuff. Llewd Lloyd just doesn't really roll off the tongue as Llewd Lloyd does, you know? No alliteration. When you are an arcane. Yeah, true. I mean, like, every archetype has, what you may call it, every archetype has essence. So, like, essence is actually a thing for all classes and all archetypes. So, mana steal would be more beneficial in Ashes of Creation versus other games where, like, you have, like, resourceless characters. Like, in WoW, you have focus for ranger, you have, like, energy for rogue and stuff like that. So, those things are affected differently from Ashes, like from a design standpoint, from Ashes to like WoW or League of Legends and stuff like that. So mana burn is a potential thing that could affect everybody and not just be good against a specific class. So yeah, that is an argument that you have for that type of thing. Lineage 2 had mana burn and it was actually necessary for high-end raid bosses. Yeah, it also depends on, like, yeah, if mobs have mana, right? If that's a resource. So that would be a design choice based off of, like, both PvE and PvX and PvP. So lots of interesting things. You guys have got me thinking about stuff that I've never thought about before. So a lot of that stuff was me just thinking off the top of my head. Interesting. Well, I will be posting a couple more videos here shortly. I will be live Friday. I don't know if I'm going to be with my guild or not. We have our guild meeting. I do know Grey Sentinels are going to be probably aiming for, like, I don't know if there's a server list out yet or not, but we weren't going to go on Resna because we wanted to avoid most of the newcomer people that are going to be flooding the servers. But yeah, we are definitely planning to no life Friday, Saturday, and probably Sunday for me. So yeah, I will be trying to grind as much of this out as I possibly can, and I'm ready. I'm ready to stream with you guys and play the game and have a lot of fun. If you don't have access, then you'll at least be able to watch from my stream. I know that's not the best thing, but there's also other great streamers. I like Ranger, but I might go Cleric, I might go Fighter, and I might go Mage. Really, I really don't know at this moment. I might actually go Bard on Friday just because bards are really necessary for every group, and also because I haven't played one yet. So I'm not sure. Depends really. But anyways, thank you guys. Thank you for coming, and I hope you come again. Bye.